Okay, I'm on my old phone, so let's see how that goes. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom. It's the day of rest, and of course, Jesus saves. So I guess the conflict haven't really changed since many years ago, and there's still only pretty much one solution that would work. Would at least take some of the air out of the balloon. But this has not been done and is yet not being done, and now we have another conflict. As far as I understand it, over 5,000 rockets have been fired from Gaza. We have a conflict again in Israel. Apparently they are also calling for uprise, from the Mohammedan towers against the Jews and the IDF and all that. So there's a conflict on, which is actually interesting because this is the last day of the festival of the year, according to how the Jews are doing it. If you follow the moon, it would be tomorrow, but it's, as far as I can gather, it's not only a day of rest, it's also a high holy day in regards to the last day of the year, when Yeshua went up and talked about waters flowing from him and all that. That's in the book of John, Yochanan. But anyway, that's, it's the solution is really not that hard. The problem is there's, powers behind things that actually want the conflict. Now, when you're in Israel and all that, you kind of do understand that, the Mohammedans want to make a bloodbath out of the Jews and drive them out into the ocean. That's pretty solid. When you're in Israel, all the propaganda bullshit that is out there in the world, that gets pretty much, destroyed. You are in there, right? And you see what is happening and all that, and you experience it yourself. I like, for example, getting stones thrown at you from the Mohammedans, saying, "We love you," and there comes the hard love against you. That was, that's interesting experience that you can get. But anyway, so what is the solution? Well, the solution is easy. Some years ago, or a good amount of years ago, there was one of these leaders in Gaza. And he was angry at the Egyptians and the Saudi Arabians for not helping them more. Why? Because they were of the same flesh, They were Egyptians and Saudi Arabians, those people in Gaza. Oh, really? Well, it's not really hard to then figure out what is the solution. We'll send these people back to Egypt and Saudi Arabia and even Jordan, even if Jordan is actually part of Israel, if we look back into the old days. But at least, give back, give full control to Israel and the Jews in regards to the West Bank, Jerusalem, and Gaza. And, you could help those people get them some resources to relocate into Egypt, into Saudi Arabia, or into even Jordan, And if anyone attacks Israel, they should know that, if you're going into war, you might actually lose some land. That's kind of a thing, right? If you attack a nation and all that, you can't just expect that they... you might lose some land because they might react for you to attack them, right? And you people, you Mohammedans, love to curse the Jews. You hate the Jews. You want to murder the Jews. You want to make another Holocaust because you don't believe that there was a Holocaust in the past. So let's just make a new one, right? And butcher all the Jews and drive them into the ocean, the rest of them, right? Get them out of the Holy Land. Which, by the way, who owns that land? Isn't that Jehovah who owns that land? I think it's Jehovah who owns that land, and he gives it to whosoever he wants. Now, the Jews, when people talk about, these things, the Jews wouldn't be in Israel if Jehovah did not want the Jews in the land. Okay? He drove them out. He took them back. He drove them out. He took them back again, and here we are, right? It's like, you gotta be kidding. Do you think we are worshiping a weak God who can't keep the Jews out if you don't want them out of his land, his holy land. You gotta be kidding me. So, and we all have all the miracle stories that are, helping the Jews defend against all these Mohammedans and all that. Hey, if you want to be cursed, you just curse the Jews, right? That's, it's so stupid, Yeah, you Mohammedans really should, get up and, hello, maybe we should stop cursing the Jews, Because maybe there's something special about the Jews, even if they have rejected Yeshua, the Messiah. It's not to say that God is finished with the Jews, stiff-necked people, yeah, for sure. But that's not to say that he's finished with them. Anyway. So the easy solution is to send these people back in Gaza, and if there's maybe the other nations in the world could help on giving some resources to help these people when they relocate to Egypt and Saudi Arabia or even Jordan to get a new home and all that. Some of these people in Gaza, some of those actually wants out, but they can't get out because both sides are, they're keeping them locked in this little space, So I don't know how many percenters that actually do want out, but it is kind of a little place where you can end up getting. So it would be the best of everybody, to relocate these people to Saudi Arabia and Egypt, or even Jordan, and get these people, get them out of Israel. Get the Jews to have full control of Gaza and the West Bank. There's no two-state solution. That's absolutely bullshit. If you want more conflict at that place, you just force a two-state solution. It's not going to work because this land is Israel. It's Israel, and it's not going away. And there will be a conflict if you of course there will still continue to be a conflict if you actually give the Israelites the place of Gaza and the West Bank. But it will take some of the air out of the balloon, The Mohammedans still do want to slaughter the Jews and all that. But it would, at least, take some of the air out of the balloon. Instead of this conflict where it's very near to them and you have Gaza and you have the West Bank, and you have all these conflicts, Jerusalem, and uprising in Jerusalem. And yeah, it's hard to fully know what is still going on at the moment. And, you have Arabic-speaking people and all that. And it's, I don't know Arab and all that. We see the videos that is happening. Again, a conflict where people are dying and all that. It's just stupid, And we can, it's just, it's not that hard to figure out an easy peasy solution pretty much, Maybe I'm making it a little more easy than, but really these people, give them some resources to move away from Gaza and then hand Gaza over to the Jews and the West Bank as well. Make these people leave, these Fakestinians, They're fake. They're not Palestinians. They're fake, Get them out and give over these two parts of the land to the Jews. It's just, give me a break with the rest is nonsense. It's absolutely bullshit. It's ridiculous. It just will make further conflict, as we see today again. This was the same solution that I proposed many years ago. I was in Israel. You can see the conflict and all that. It won't go away. And in regards of a two-state solution, no. It will just make much more conflict. Many more people will die. And we kind of don't want to do that. Of course, there's another solution in regards of, I'm not sure how much that will work, but you could throw out the New Testament in Gaza in regards to the Gospel of John. I'm not sure the Jews want to do that, but you could have done that at least. That's another way, because if they become Christians, they might not hate the Jews so much. Now, of course, some people will say, well, the Nazis were Christians. No, they they're Roman Catholics, and that's the difference. Now, that's true that some of the Protestants actually ended up partaking in it, but those who goes into Roman Catholicism and who are not Protestants anymore ends up with the devil's system. A Christian does not go out and kill Jews, It's just a madness, But Nazism is a Roman Catholic. You see if you go on Gab, for example, the platform of Gab is a Roman Catholic platform. You see lots of Nazis on that platform, and you see a lot of Jew hatred as well. This is one of the places, where you see, Roman Catholicism have Jew hatred, Mohammedanism has Jew hatred and all that. But, and actually, I love Jews, I love Jews, even if they denied the Messiah and all that and are not so happy about me and all that. I really like Jews, It's sad to see them rejecting the Messiah, but hey, I was actually against the Jews when I was in the so-called truth movement and then they came around with the Guy Fawkes mask, which is a Jesuitical mask in regards of blowing up the Protestant parliament. And I'm like, at that point, I was like, truth does not hide behind a mask. We might be killed and murdered and all that, but we do not hide behind a mask, So taking on a mask, it doesn't really work out in regards of a truth movement. Now, then further, I found out the diabolical links with this mask in regards of the cartoon and, do what thou wilt, which goes back to the Satanist Aleister Crowley and of course in regards to the Jesuits, in regards of blowing the English Parliament, or wanting to blow the English Parliament into pieces with kings and the rest of the guys and all that, so the Roman Catholics could take England over again for the stinking poop. Yeah. Who, by the way, is the Antichrist, if you don't know about that. But apparently a lot of people don't know about that. So the solution is still very, it's pretty, it shouldn't really be that hard to do. Well, yeah, of course, there will be some, there will be some things that needs to be done, but I think the nations could help in regards of helping Israel, in regards of giving these people, Israel is already giving them a lot of things, this and that and all that, and then they use them against Israel, like making tunnels with the concrete instead of making schools and all that. It's just... So, I think it would be a win-win situation for everybody. Maybe not the Satanist who wants this conflict, but overall, in regards of human lives and peace and all that would be pretty good and all that. And, And the question is, who owns this land? Well, Jehovah owns this land. And who is, who was it given to, Well, first, the Assyrians came and took out the northern kingdom, right? And then the Babylonians took out the southern kingdom. And then the Jews, by the help of the Medo-Persians, came back to Israel. And then the Romans came and took them out. And, oh, lo and behold, now the Romans has put them back, If you look at the document, it was all Freemasons. And, of course, Freemasons is going back to... Well, the Antichrist, the Roman Antichrist and the Jesuitical poop, the black poop, and the Jesuitical general. Freemasonry, of course, is controlled by the Jesuits. And, it's a disgusting, filthy system and all that. But anyway, now the Jews are being put back into Israel. I think we have around half of the Jews in the world in Israel. The other half, I think, is in the USA at the moment. Of course, we have Jew hatred as well growing, and the more Roman Catholics that comes to the USA, the more the greater the possibility of Jew hatred, and then the Jews will need to move. And there's pretty much only one place that is made for the Jews, and that's Israel. That's the only state in the entire world that is made by Jews, for Jews, to protect them and so forward. One single nation. And And you have all these Mohammedan, other nations and all that. You know, if you want to be a Mohammedan, just go into one of these other many nations of Mohammedans. The Jews have one single place, and this is the biblical place where they were planted. And it's theirs. That's just how it is. It's interesting how God just puts them smacked out in the middle of enemies. Like, here, I'm putting my people back, you know. You want to do something about it, you know, then you're doing, it's like going against the God of creation, you know. It's like these Mohammedans are just totally retarded, you know. How retarded can you be? Oh, let's go wipe out the Jews, you know. Well, if Jehovah put them back into the land, you know, you will not remove them. You could take the whole armies of the world and go against Israel, and you would be wiped out, you know. Oh yeah, it's just, you gotta be kidding me. And you think you Mohammedans will, you know, whatever, you know, just... Oh yeah, and there's these miracle stories as well, how the Jews are helped, you know, on different levels, spiritually. It's interesting, yeah, isn't it? And like, I talked to a Jew when I was in Israel, and I was like, yeah, we don't really, don't really know about that, you know, in regards to what is going on and all that. Well, maybe someone is helping you, you know, someone up there is helping you, you know. So anyway, that's one miracle story after another. And when you look at those fingerprints of those miracle stories and look into the Bible, you're like, whoa, there's something familiarizing with these miracles, you know? Just anyway. So, you're not going to uproot Israel. If God wants them there, they're going to be there. And it doesn't matter how big an army you're going to come with. You're going to be utterly crushed. And you're not going to win it, you know? You're going to, anyway. Of course, there are some things in regards of conflicts of future things and all that, and a lot of Jews dying, it seems. But anyway, we also have 144,000 Israelites being chosen at some point in the future at the Great Tribulation and all that. So, of course, there will be another temple as well at some point, which, you know, could be on the horizon. It could pretty much be nearly from one day to another. So that, you know, we'll see how that goes. I really have to pay attention, and we really should get to know who Jesus really is. Because there's a lot of fake versions of Jesus out there. Kind of important to know who the real version is. And you can read, you can get a New Testament, would be a very good idea. And then if you don't want to read too much, or at least have a good idea, you can just go directly to the Gospel of John. That's the fourth book in this little collection of books. I would skip the letters of Paulus, but that would be me. But anyway, read the Gospel of John. Now, this is a Danish version. And you will get a very concentrated thing in regards of who he is, in regards of truth, in regards of who Jesus really is. Because there are so many liars and so many fake versions of them. And you Mohammedans, if you're seeing this video, you Mohammedans are having a false version of Jesus. Oh yeah, you have 1.8 billion people following a fake version of Jesus. Oh, we believe in Jesus. No, you don't. You're disgusting, filthy, Satanist, liars, deceivers, and wolves without sheep clothing. Stinking wolves. That's what you are. Anyway. So, how do you actually refute Mohammedanism in less than 30 seconds? Should we try to refute Mohammedanism? Because, as some Mohammedan told me, well, talk is cheap or something like that. So, let's do it, right? Well, let's see here. Mohammedans do not believe that Jesus is the Son of God. They don't believe he's God in the flesh. They don't believe he was executed on the tree, and thereby he didn't die, and thereby he didn't resurrect from the dead 3 days later. And by the way, not dying on the tree means that he didn't die for the sins of the world. Wow, There we go, Muhammad in the trash can, So, the best thing that you Mohammedans could do, take your Quran and burn it, and just, become a Christian. Throw it out. Don't, I came from a Satanist background in regards to the New Age. Although I didn't see myself as Satanist. I didn't want to do bad to people. There's a lot of Satanists out there that don't want to do evil against other people, but they're still following the devil. It's very slick deception and all that, right? But anyway, the thing is, I destroyed a lot of books, in the past, and you should take your Quran and do the same thing. Just burn the disgusting, blasphemous book, throw it out, just get rid of it. Get a Bible, read the Gospel of John, and get following the real Jesus, The other fake version is the Roman Catholic version, the cookie Jesus. So don't become a Roman Catholic either. It's like two sides of the same wicked coin, although Rome is the head. But, anyway. So don't go from Mohammedanism to Roman Catholicism. It's just disgusting filth, both of them. It's 3 billion people, following fake versions of Jesus. Anyway, here we go with the book of John, Yochanan. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Did you get that? So the Word was with God, and itself was God, okay? How does that work out? That's in regards to the Trinity. And if you want to know about the Trinity, you just read further in the book of John. That's chapter 14, 15, 16, and 17. The Master, the true Rabbi, explains it in details. So don't give me the mystery bullshit and all that. Go read it for yourself. And, the best thing you can do is just read the book from the beginning. Read the Gospel of John from the beginning to the end, okay? That's in regards of first sources from the 1st century, and that's from some madman 600 years after the event, known as Muhammad, like 600 years after the event. Are you kidding me, you people? You're just full of bull turd, Give me a break. Stop with the bullshit and get on the wagon of truth, and leave the devil with all his bullshit, That's a lot of bullshit. Nonsense, gibberish. And all the rest of the words that I can't remember. It's just so disgusting. Anyway, so that's a way to do it. So anyway, I was against the Jews when other than in the New Age, because the New Age is pretty much it's the truth movement is mixed with the New Age, and the New Age is full of diabolical satanic crap, And a lot of people who stands for a lot of truth and exposes the governments, the diabolical governments and the firms and, all these mad Satanists out there that are doing the devil's, the devil's work. They tend to also go into the New Age and mislead people into Satan's, huge candy store with many flavors. So that's a thing. The Jews have issues with Jewish mysticism and all that. We all have, most people in this earth are worshiping the devil and being misled by the devil. So there's only one way. The Master told us, if you're saying that you're following Jesus, well, he said that there's only one way to the Father, and that's through him. There's no other way, okay? And the version that the Mohammedans have is a fake version. And it takes less than 30 seconds to understand that that's a fake version. At least anyone that has, has some, grounding in biblical prophecy and history and all that. Well, should be able to really quickly understand that that's a stinking wolf, Muhammad was a stinking wolf, yes. He's not even a wolf in sheep clothing. And Yeshua, or Jesus, Yeshua would be his Hebrew name, he actually warned us about what? He warned us about wolves in sheep clothing. But that's someone that looks like a Christian, proclaims himself a Christian, and, make himself out to be a Christian. Muhammad is just a stinking wolf, he's not, it's just... Oh my, it's just what do you call it? It's just like on first grade level. He's not even up there with the great deceivers of this world. He's just a bullshitter. He's a clear stinking bullshitter. So I don't know. In regards of So Mohammedanism is like the religion of fear and chop religion. Yeah, the chop religion. Mm-hmm. You can maybe get your, a head shorter, because they don't like you speaking the truth. You gotta be kidding me, you bullshitters. I'm just sick and tired of it. Liars and deceivers, and you're even having, being allowed to lie and deceive for your religion. Absolute disgusting. Why would you even partake in such a thing? Disgusting. Absolute disgusting. Anyway, going back to the conflict. It's an pretty much it's a, I think, a pretty easy solution. Just get those people out of Gaza, give it over to the Jews, and get those people out of the West Bank and hand it over to the Jews. And Jerusalem as well. So that's pretty much my opinion. I guess that's not that many actually seeing anything anyway. So and it probably won't happen. The other solution, of course, was to take the Gospel of John and translate it into Arabia, and fix them with airplanes over Gaza. So maybe someone would read about the good news about Yeshua, right? They say we believe in Jesus, but you don't want to read his, don't want to read the first sources about Jesus. Yeah, you gotta be kidding me. So, of course, it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting, and when you're in Israel, you understand. You understand that they the Mohammedans wants to wipe out the Jews. They want to make a bloodbath. I remember one of the Mohammedans I talked to, and I said to him, in your Quran, right, there's at least 2 places where it says the Jews are to come back into Israel. And he was like, yeah, but then they're going to be wiped out. It's like, I can't remember, he said it like, more indirectly, but it's like, and I've had others that say, well, it says that, but that, they did something, so now that's not going, now this prophecy or these prophecies, they're not going to, it's their own bullshit book that you have things that the Israelites would come back. Now, if it's written in their own Quran that the Israelites would come back at some point, wouldn't you think that they might expect that, the Jews are coming back, wow, woohoo, come here, yeah, we've been awaiting you, our Quran talks about you coming back, and here you are. And what do they do? No, let's get some guns and let's kill these people, it's like, you gotta be kidding me. And by the way, you have in the Bible also where it talks about the Israel coming back, and it's like, and never to be uprooted again. It's like, so this is not something that was fulfilled in the past. So this is still either something that is ongoing fulfillment now or in the future. So whether one or the other, it's something that is not fulfilled, in the past. So that's an interesting thing, right? I can't remember where it is, but it's one of the places where I'm thinking about. But it's in here somewhere. It's a lot of books, I can't remember everything. Okay, you get the thing up here, and I'm not so in regards of Any case, now we have a message from a Jew. Actually, he says, it's not an operation anymore. The sale is only in the supermarket. This is a war, and in this war right now, we are not winning. I wonder if... See original, that's the Hebrew. Yeah, okay. I'm not entirely sure how the sale is only in the supermarket. I'm not sure what he means with that, but it's like, yeah, he's from Israel, so I think he is in Israel. So I guess he's talking about what is going on at the moment. I don't know. That's here we have some Hebrew. Let's see here. This is the crime of the politicians and the stupidity of the people that still believe the words that come out of their mouth. Well, crush them, they receive a serious injury. Bombing rocks, that's what we do. So that at the hawk, God forbid they won't protect us. Wake up, we are sold. I guess this guy believes that someone have sold out the Jews or something like that in regards to this attack. Anyway, they've already won with this number of people murdered. I don't know how many people they have murdered, but someone says, we're going to win, but with a hefty price tag. This time Hamas can say he has an achievement, and we need to learn from that. So it seems to be a serious blow to the Jews, and this is coming on their holy day. This is the holy day that they are, the last great day. Now, as far as I know, that's actually tomorrow. But if we're going to follow when the Jews are keeping it and all that, in regards of that would be today, as far as I could see. That's the last day of the year, and they attacked them on that, and on a Sabbath. So it's not only a Sabbath, a day of rest. It's also the last holy day of the year. Now I know Jews have some other, but these are not Torah festivals. Let's see here. When they tell you peace and security, a strong army, a strong economy, the rest you'll understand yourself. And this is translated from the Hebrew, so I'm not entirely sure. Who knows if it's praying that we will win in the power of the Lord. Apparently, and this is like 2 minutes ago, so apparently this is an ongoing conflict that people are somewhat, okay. I had in the past, I had this application where if there's rockets going in and all that, the mobile would tell you and all that. I deleted that in the past. But you have one of the good websites to follow along with is in regards of the, what is it called? Let's see if I can find it again. And that's a direct page in regard to things. Let's see if I can find it. My brain is not really up to it. It's overburdened. Let's see here. It should be. Maybe I need to update the notifications. Seems to be missing some. I don't know. Maybe someone was. Oh, here we go. IDF. Okay, IDF. So IDF. Apparently in Jerusalem, there has been called for uprise in Arabia throughout the mosque, the mosque microphones and all that. Although I can't understand Saudi Arabia. We can just see it here. I can just turn it around here, and. Wow, and apparently that's as an image upright with fatty me, Are you gonna be kidding me? Why did I put that on? I can't, why in the world would have been taking, so that's, it looks like it's fatty me. I'm not going to make it into a full screen thing. I'm way too fat, I know. I wonder why that image would be there. Maybe it's a mistake that, it seems like I was like, doing this, so this is probably not on purpose that I took that image. I'm sorry about that. In regards of I'm too fat, it's just disgusting. 130 kilos and all that. I really didn't see that. Wow, I think that's the fat guy sitting up there with way too much fat. Yeah, that's me. Sorry about that. Hopefully, yeah, it's very small, so it's. Well, I guess with AI and all that, you can blow it up. Anyway, I'm too fat. I know it and all that. That's my mistake in regards of nudity, somewhat nudity. Yeah, sorry about that. Just overlook that image up there. There's a lot of worse things in the world than me being fat, right? So, but anyway, this was from Gap, a video from Gap in regards of loudspeakers of mosque all over Jerusalem called on all Mohammedans and Fakestinians to rise up and wage jihad on Israel Defense Forces, that's the IDF, and the Israeli government. Of course, you have the government building in Israel, and you have, yeah, I've been there a couple of times where I've, gone. There's a bird reserve thing just close there, and next to the bird reserve, there's where they're praying to the dead and all that, which is disgusting. But anyway, the Jews have their own issues. There's a graveyard next to the bird reserve. So you have you go up the thing here, and you have the bird reserve to the right, and you little further down you have the graveyard where they're praying to the dead. Some kind of rabbi, whatever, so-called rabbi. I call them rabbis. It's not like I hate Jews or anything like. We're not to call anyone rabbi, but Jesus, Yeshua is our rabbi. Anyway, you go further up, right, and you go to the left, and there, it's on the. You go left, and there's on the. You just have the building to the left of you. And usually a soldier will ask you what you're doing and this and that and all that. But it's one of the ways to go to the museum. It might be a little, whatever. But anyway. Yeah. It's interesting how you become kind of used to all the guns around. It's like, usually you don't have guns in Denmark, right? But in Israel, it's like, oh, that's guns, and more guns. That's just big guns. But it's I didn't really feel amongst Jews. I didn't really feel any threat really. The Jews are pretty for the most part. The Jews just want to talk with you. They are very, what do you call it, talkative people instead of violent people. Although that you can find places where they are spitting on things and maybe being violent and all that. But overall, I felt pretty safe being amongst Jews. Even if they had guns and all that, it was more in regards to the Mohammedans areas that was kind of more hostile. When you have stones thrown at you and all that, it's kind of you don't feel the love, well, the hard love. You feel the hard love when the stones are coming flying at you, right? We love you, and woo, there comes the stones. It's hard love. It's really hard love, and it's just whatever. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens. Hadn't even said anything yeah. Apparently there's Mohammedans up in those cities where Jesus was, and close to where he was making wine out of water and all that, on the Jesus trail and all that. So just be aware that that might be a possibility. It's kind of not helping in them on the tourism. If they want to have tourism and hostel places and all that in these Mohammedan areas and all that, it's not really helping them in regards to tourism. If you have people throwing stones at tourists, it's not really something that you wanna, it's not something that is going to attract a lot more tourists. If you have people throwing stones against tourists, right? That's just anyway. So that's just how it is. That was the first time I was in Israel. So yeah. Anyway, you get some experiences, right? And yeah. So, but yeah, there seems to be a battle going on, and it seems like apparently it seems like that they really have done some bad things to, It's just like on the holy days and all that. They attacked them on the Jewish holy day. So it's not like I'm not so afraid in regards of the Jews being wiped out or anything, because Jehovah is going to protect them. So that's not the, you know. There we have one of the stories of these in one of the wars, right? And the Jews had nothing to defend in regards to Jerusalem. I can't remember which war it was. And these tanks are coming down for Jerusalem, right? And the Israelites, didn't have anything to really, counter this. So what happens? All those tanks, just whew, go away. So after the war, it's like, why did you turn around? We didn't have anything. Why did you turn around with, and the guy that was the head guy of these tanks and all that was like, we saw a wall of angels, and one of the angels was pointing like, you go back, you just turn back, And I'm like, if these people like were seeing like a wall of angels and one of them pointing like, you go back right now, it's like, I think that might actually have been a good choice to go back, right? Anyway, that's just one of the stories of these conflicts and all that. And it's like, it's just, one story after another, which are very interesting. So I think it could be a lot worse for the Jews if they didn't have some spiritual help from behind. And it does seem like they do have spiritual help from behind. So that's just how it is. So I don't think one should be afraid that Israel will be destroyed. But I'm sure there is conflicts and all that. But I think they're getting some help from and so-called unknown source in some sense, an unworldly source. So anyway. But yeah, you can search on that. They're very interesting stories. So here we have the city of Escalon is getting hit with Hamas strikes from Gaza at the moment. Of course, it's not a surprise that Israel is attacked again. It's not a surprise, and no one wanna listen to in regards of a solution for this. Because the powers to be behind the scenes wants the conflict, because conflict makes things go, the way they want to have things going. But the way to really to take off, take air out of the balloon is to, move those people in Gaza to Egypt and Saudi Arabia, or if they want to go to Jordan, and give them some resources so they can rebuild in another place. So they're not fixed into this little small area anyway, which, I don't know how many of them, but I would think that a good amount of them actually do want to get out. So to make them, have the possibility to go out and make a new life for themselves, another place. And I think, in the end, it would probably also save a lot of resources, instead of, fixing resources to this place and, and they make tunnels instead of schools and all that. They could actually use the energy for, other things, right? And those people in Gaza could have a better life overall as well. And just leave Israel alone. Just leave them alone, Why can't you just leave them alone, I should probably, in regards to the Quran, find the places where it actually says that the Israelites would come back, But I guess, the Mohammedans will have excuses of that anyway. Like, as I've heard before, either they should come back, and then we're going to, wipe them out, Then we're going to make a bloodbath and drive them into the ocean, or the other thing that, God said that they would come back, but, in regards to the Quran, right? But, they don't deserve it any longer. They lost that or something. But isn't this a prophecy? If you're going to stay on the Quran, right, as a holy book, it's just a disgusting, blasphemous book, right? But, but if you're going to go with the Quran, you don't even need the Bible for these things, right, that the Jews would return. Wouldn't you expect them to actually come back at some point? It's like, shouldn't you be prepared that the Jews would return? Well, apparently not. Apparently it's just ridiculous, And, we see things digged up everything. Israel is a huge blessing for the whole world. You can't tell me that Israel is not a huge, gigantic blessing for the entire globe. Why is that? Well, we're digging biblical things up every single day, We have Hebrew again being spoken on a huge scale. We have things being digged out of the Bible from the Hebrew. We can go to Israel and experience this amazing thing with Jews all over, It's, I love it. Absolutely love it. It's a huge, gigantic blessing, And we are further with that when the Jews are coming back and they restore a lot of the things. We can see some of the traditions that Yeshua rebuked them for and all that. But we can also see things that actually is in regards of Yeshua. Now, they're eating, for example, chicken at Passover. They're not eating lamb because they don't have a temple, they say, which I was very, very disappointed to. Here I'm coming to Jerusalem. I'm going to eat a lamb, right? No, chicken. He's like, get chicken at home all the time, Give me a break. I want lamb, I've come to Israel, right? To Jerusalem, to a Passover. And you're going to serve me chicken? It's like you gotta be a goat or a lamb, some things. Anyway, I was so disappointed. I found out too late. I was so disappointed. Okay, I understand. You don't have a temple, but they didn't have a temple in Egypt either, right? And that was the first time maybe there's some command in the Torah and where they take it specifically because that's something that it has to be slain in. But there's no temple, but, at least we can do the best that we can do, right? Or would that be like a transgression? They could slay it at the Western Wall, that's at least very close, right? To the temple. I don't know, maybe it's just it's just trying the best that we can do, right? I understand that's something that, things sometimes have to be slain at the temple, right? But when the temple is not there, there's not a possibility to do it. And of course, the Passover lamb is in regards of Yeshua, right? So, yeah. Anyway, so Israel has been a great blessing on so many levels, and they're finding all these biblical places, which the Bible is a fictitious book and blah blah. Well, here we have one thing. Here we have another. Here we have. I think one guy found around. I think it was over 100. I think it was over 100 places. I'm thinking 125. I'm not sure where I'm getting that number from. I can't remember his name, but he was the guy that found the place on the mountain when Joshua got into Israel and all that. They found the place where they sacrificed and all that on that mountain. And he further digged into, he was a non-believer, and he, if that's true, and he got on to researching more. And as I understand, I think he found over 100 places of different things. He was not popular in regards of. I can't remember his name. I can figure out what his name is and all that. But anyway, it's a huge blessing, and they're digging up things. And now the Shiloh pool is being digged up at the moment. They say like almost like 2 years, around 2 years, and maybe there will be water in the Shiloah pool again after nearly 2,000 years. That'll be interesting. That'll be amazing. That'll be very interesting, right? And they talked about that we might be able to go there and cleanse ourselves, in regards to water and all that. Yeah, that would be very interesting. So like when Jesus was around, and you can go down in regards to the tunnel, Zacharias tunnel. And then you go down to the Shiloah pool, and then you can go down up to the temple, and there's another museum as well and all that. That's a huge amount of things, things are getting restored, things are going pretty quick, it's a huge blessing. So anyway, so yeah. But anyway, I think the solution pretty much is, we have the secondary solution of taking the Gospel of John and finding an Arabic version or translating it again into Arabic, and maybe adding some things, whatever, drawings or whatever, in regards of the Trinity with a twist and all that. Who knows? But in any case, the Gospel of John, small version, and just throw them out to the people in Gaza. That would be a solution as well. At least it's cheaper than firing rockets and explosions and all that. And you might have Christians coming around. And if you get a Christian movement going around, maybe the area could end up being totally converted. I don't know. But anyway, the Mohammedans are pretty solid in their satanic ways, sadly. But, who knows, who knows if a huge miracle could happen in regards of them turning around to, and thereby they would begin to love Jews instead of hate Jews. At least if they, of course, if they turn to Roman Catholicism, that they might still have a lot of hatred against Jews. But if they become real Christians, they wouldn't hate the Jews. You also have stories, you can find stories confirming this as well. That former Mohammedans who had such an intense hatred against the Jews, after becoming Christians, they loved the Jews, And I was against the Jews in my days of the New Age nonsense, because it's ingrained in the so-called truth movement that you stand with the so-called Palestinians, Fakestinians, and that you stand against the Jews. But but then you find out when you become a Christian that you didn't get, you just got it from one side. One-sided story of the things, and then you find out, there's a lot of liars and bullshitters around, and of course the truth movement is pretty much run by Satanists, sadly. There's a lot of truth in there, and there are whistleblowers and all that, and they also tend to get killed, murdered here and there and all that. But overall, you have a huge satanic agenda inside. The New Age is just a lot of satanic bullshit, and that's where people are usually led, including myself. I was led into. And that's not to say I didn't want anyone to die. I wasn't like a Satanist that wanted to sacrifice people or anything like that. No. I was like, if you throw a stone against me, you throw it against yourself. Or if I throw a stone against you, it's a stone thrown against myself. That was the idea I had. It sounds very loving, right? Love and all that. But it takes away the Bible and takes away Yeshua and all that. And I believe myself to be God. So, anyway, it's things continues in this insanity. Anyway, I hope the conflict will. But apparently, it seems like some Jews says that Hamas has already won in regards of the numbers that they have. So even if it's going to be ended, it will be like a win for the Mohammedans in regards of killing Jews and all that. Here we have the IDF. Let's just go to the IDF here. Operation Swords of Iron real-time operation updates. And we can go, and this is on the idf.il website. This is the official website of the IDF. So, 7/10/2023, this is Roman time, Roman calendar and all that. Operation Swords of Iron real-time operational updates. So 6:35 in the morning, sirens sounded in central and southern Israel, or Yisrael. Details to follow. How do they say it in military? 0712 or something like that. No, it's 0712. I don't know. Anyway, 712. Over the past half an hour, barrages of rockets have been launched by the Hamas terrorist organization from Gaza into Israel. We urge the public in southern and central Israel to stay near protected areas and follow the instructions of the Home Front Command. 7:40, and again, as I understand it, it's over 5,000 rockets that have been fired against Israel. So 7:40. Initial report, a number of terrorists have infiltrated into Israeli territory from Gaza. Residents in the surrounding area have been asked to remain in their homes. Details to follow. Sirens continue to sound throughout central and southern Israel. It's interesting how many, you wonder how many they have had to, because it's a high holy day, right? So it's just disgusting that the Mohammedans would actually just, attack them on a Sabbath as well. They, but the Mohammedans, they say they worship the God of the Bible, right? It's bullshit, of course. But, and then they want to attack them on a Sabbath? Not only the weekly Sabbath, but a high holy day, according to most of the Jews, as they follow in regards to the calendar, which doesn't really follow totally in regards to the moon. So, disgusting. So 8:15. Sirens sounded in the city of Jerusalem, and we saw this Arabic thing where apparently they have called to jihad against, according to the Thomas Robinson, I think he's called, in regards of what he posted, that they were sounding, the Mohammedans was, in regards to the speakers telling the Mohammedans to commit to jihad against the IDF and the government. But I don't know Arabic, so it's hard to really confirm if that was, what was really said in regards to these. But anyway, it wouldn't be a surprise if they did that, right? Because we have a conflict going on here, so it's probably true, but I can't verify it, as such. Anyway, 8:15, sirens sounded in the city of Jerusalem, right? So 8:23, the IDF declares a state of alert for war. Over the past hour, the Hamas terrorists, so that's around, 2 hours or something like that? Sirens sounded in central and southern Israel, details to follow. So I guess they first shoot a lot of missiles against Israel, and then first after 2 hours or something like that, 8:33, and nearly 2 hours before the IDF declares a state of alert for war. And you do wonder how many people actually have been in operation at that point, because again, high holy day, festival and all that. Anyway, the IDF declares a state of alert for war. Over the past hour, the Hamas terrorist organization launched massive barrages of rockets from Gaza into Israel, and its terrorist operatives have infiltrated into Israel in a number of different locations in the south. Civilians in southern and central Israel must remain near shelters and in the area surrounding the Gaza Strip inside shelters. The chief of the general staff is currently conducting a situational assessment and approving plans for the IDF's continued activity. The Hamas terrorist organization is responsible for these attacks and will face consequences for them. There was also a picture of one of the higher guys known as Nimrod. That was an interesting name, but he was named Nimrod, and he was captured, as far as I understand it, by the Hamas. That was on Tommy Robinson's Gap channel thing here. What it talked about. Yeah, here we have a picture of the guy. So this is General Nimrod Aloni was captured by Hamas. I don't know why they fixed out the weapons and all that on the picture, but this is the guy. So apparently he got captured by them. So that would be, I guess, a very big prize for them in regards of getting a general. In regards of... So, yeah. Over 100 Israelis kidnapped by Hamas terrorists. We have a little video in regards of... So, and again, it sounds like the number of dead people is also pretty high. But yeah, it's again, you know, if you're going to attack someone, you know, why would, again, and if they say they follow in regards of God and all, then of course they're Satanists. The Mohammedanism is Satanism, and that's just how it is. But why would you attack Jews on a high holy day and a Sabbath, you know? On the weekly Sabbath, right? It's disgusting, you know? You know, yeah, you have 6 other days you could do it, right? You know, but no, you're going to take that day of rest and you're going to attack them on that very day, you know? You gotta be kidding me. So now there's different, you know, there's a lot of Jew hatred on Gap, so there's a lot of, you know, whether this and that and all that, you know, conflicts and all that. And apparently people can't even figure out what they're actually called. It's called Mohammedans because they follow Muhammad. Muslim, the word Muslim means something like Islam, and we shouldn't use those words. This is their words of bullshit, and we shouldn't succumb to their bullshit. It's called Mohammedans, okay? Anyway, so there's a lot of Jew hatred for sure. There's some that are for the Jews, and there are some that are, you know, it's not a surprise on Gap that we have a lot of Jew hatred, because this is a Roman Catholic platform. There's a lot of Nazis in here, and Nazism is Roman Catholicism, so there's a lot of, you know, it's incredible when people want to give the Jews the fault for all the snake oil. You know, it's just, the Jews were some of those that was attacked most on the front of getting pushed into getting these disgusting, filthy injections. And yet you want to tell, you know, and you want to blame the Jews for that. You know, you got to be kidding me. It's just so much bullshit out there. You know, of course you can find some Jews working for the Roman Empire, but it is still the Roman Empire. You can find Danish people working for the Roman Empire. You can find Norwegian people, which are pretty much just part of Denmark, pretty much. We just got split, but anyway. You can find Swedish people, German people, USA, you know, Americans, Canadians and all that. You have the Roman Empire worldwide. Why would you only blame the Jews because you can find some that works for the Roman Empire? You know, give me a break with the bullshit. It's a Roman Empire and the Jesuits are in control. It's a Jesuitical Roman world empire. And they've hidden the truth away from us on so many levels. Anyway, so let's go forward in regards of what is, see if we can find the website again. So So the IDF declares a state of alert for war. Over the past hour, the Hamas terrorist organization launched massive barrages, and this is 823, barrages of rockets from Gaza into Israel, and its terrorist operatives have infiltrated into Israel in a number of different locations in the south. Civilians in southern and central Israel must remain near shelters and in the area surrounding the Gaza Strip inside shelters. The chief of the general staff is currently conducting a situational assessment and approving plans for the IDF continued activity. The Hamas terrorist organization is responsible for these attacks and will face consequences for them. And again, that's also another thing, right? When we sit in other nations and we tell Israel, oh, it's so this and that and all that. Like, we're not surrounded by a huge amount of Mohammedans that want to butcher us and drive us into the ocean. You have Israel being planted right smack in the middle of a huge amount of Mohammedan nations, and they want to kill you, they want to murder you, they want to wipe you out, they want to make a bloodbath, they want to make a Holocaust, you know, and they don't believe in the former Holocaust, you know, but they want to make another one, you know, and then they want to drive the Jews out into the ocean. How do you think you would, how you know, if you know, it's like, you gotta be kidding me. And we can sit here in the Western nations or whatever and all that, you know, Israel, so bad, right? Oh, they're doing it wrong, blah, 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 right? You know, just give me a break, you know? They're right in the middle of the things. And, like, of course, we're getting more Mohammedans in the Western nations with all the import of the Jesuits that have imported a lot of these Mohammedans into the Western nations. Which, of course, Mohammedans is a form of Roman Catholicism without the sheep clothing, but that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, it's Satanism, all of it. Roman Catholicism and Mohammedanism, 3 billion people following the devil. That's just two of these groups. Then you have Hinduism, Buddhism, and the rest of the garbage that is out there. Anyway, atheism. Gotta be kidding me. So 1034 IDF operation against Hamas terrorist organization has been named Operation Swords of Iron. That's an interesting name, Swords of Iron. Well, you know, the last beast is the Iron Beast, by the way. But anyway, that's Roman, by the way. It's not Jewish, it's Roman. It's like, you know, you can't even read prophecy. Oh, it's the Jews, I guess you can't even read prophecy, right? Book of Daniel, right? Book of Daniel. You go read the Book of Daniel. Do you see what is happening in the Book of Daniel, right? Let's see here if we can find you have both the statue and you have the beast and all that. You have different prophecies that makes you figure out what is going on, right? Let's see here, we have the Book of Daniel in regards to the beast, right? Let's see here. And this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darkijah-Anders and in the reign of Koresh, the Parasians, or I guess the Persian. And the first year of Belshazzar. Oh, okay, here, sorry. Okay, that's the dot. Okay, we'll start here. In the first year of Belshazzar, I'm actually not sure how to say that, but Belshazzar, sovereign of Babel, in regards of Babel, you know, Babylon, probably, Babylon, yeah. Daniel had a dream and a vision of his head on his bed. Then he wrote down the dream, giving a summary of the matters. Daniel spoke and said, I was looking in my vision by night and saw the four winds of the Shamaim, the heavens, stirring up the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. That would be the Babylonian Empire. I was looking until its wings were plucked off, and wings in regards of speed, as far as I know, in regards of when you have great speed, you know, in regards of wings, you know. Like the Grecian beast have 4 wings because Alexander the Great was very fast in regards of conquering the pretty much the the world in some sense, right? It wasn't the whole thing, but anyway. And 4 great beasts came from the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle wings, and was looking in unto its wings were plucked off. Sorry. I was looking until its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man, and it was giving a man's heart, which might be in regards of Nebuchadnezzar, in regards of giving understanding again and all that. Anyway, and see another beast, the second like a bear. That's the Medo-Persians, and it was raised up on one side and had 3 ribs in its mouth between his teeth. I can't remember in regards to the 3 ribs. I think it was in regards of I can't remember. Something in regards of 3 nations or something like that. That it's But anyway, and they said this to it: arise, devour much flesh. After this, I looked and saw another like a leopard. That's the Grecian beast, which had on its back 4 wings, because it's very quick. Alexander the Great was very quick to conquer pretty much, a huge amount of area, 4 wings of a bird. The beast also had 4 heads, and a rule was given to it. After this, I looked in the night visions and saw a 4th beast. Now that's the Roman beast, fearsome and burly, exceedingly strong, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and crushed and trampled down the rest with its feet, and it was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Now this is further going into our days of time. I was thinking about the horns, then saw another horn. That's the horn that is in effect today. A little one coming up among them, and 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots before it. And see, eyes like the eyes of a man were in this horn, and the mouth speaking greatness. I was looking until thrones were placed, and the Ancient of Days was seated. His garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like clean wool. His throne was flame of fire, its wheels burning fire. So anyway, here we see, things, and you can read the rest as well. It's Daniel 7. Let's just read the whole book, and it's a good amount of good information in regards to understanding prophecy. You also have the statue. The statue started with the golden head, that's the Babylonians. The Medo-Persians in regards to the silver, the bronze in regards to the Greeks, and then the iron, which is the Romans, and the iron clay, which still is the Romans. But you have the little horn coming up, which is in effect today. That's the Antichrist, and that's the papacy. That's multiple men in the position of Antichrist. Anyway, so 10, let's get back to it. So it's not the Jews, okay? And the Jews, is also talked about in regards of being resurrected and all that. Anyway, you just go read it for yourself. The book of Daniel is a wonderful book. And you kind of had to read the book of Daniel to further understand the book of Revelation. These 2 books are very important. You get information from both books that tends to help you to collect the puzzle pieces. 2 things. Anyway, 1034, IDF operation against the Hamas terrorist organization has been named Operation Swords of Iron. 1046, IDF fighter jets are striking targets belonging to the Hamas terrorist organization in Gaza in response to the non-stop barrages of rockets launched towards southern and central Israel throughout this morning. Sirens continue to sound in the Lachish area, the Hashvilah region, western Negev, the areas surrounding the Gaza Strip, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Jerusalem, and central Israel. 1221, IDF spokesperson. The IDF is currently reinforcing the south and the communities surrounding the Gaza Strip with several operational forces. Operational commanders are arriving to manage combat in each location. Simultaneously, we have begun wide mobilization of reserve forces for all IDF units. This morning, Saturday, approximately here we have the number of the rockets. So this morning, officially from them, this morning, Saturday, approximately 2,200 rockets were launched from the Gaza Strip into Israeli territory. Simultaneously, a number of Hamas terrorists infiltrated into Israel in the southern Israel. In response, the IDF has launched Operation Swords of Iron. Next one. So here it says 2,200 rockets. The chief of General Staff has announced an extensive mobilization of reserve forces. Numerous IDF units, including special forces, have been dispatched to the area surrounding the Gaza Strip and are operating in a number of different locations in the area in order to protect the residents of southern Israel. Dozens of IDF fighter jets struck a number of targets belonging to the Hamas terrorist organization in the Gaza Strip. The IDF spokesperson unit emphasizes the importance of all civilians following the life-saving instructions of the Home Front Command. So the IDF spokesperson unit emphasizes the importance of all civilians following the life-saving instructions of the Home Front Command. Okay. Anyway, 1346, that's the last one we have. It's actually getting kind of... Apparently they haven't updated that last. Maybe we can update and see if they have made an update since then. But that's kind of... it's a good amount of time. It's like 2 hours, a little more than 2 hours ago. 1346, dozens of IDF fighter jets struck Hamas terror targets in the Gaza Strip. In the last few hours, dozens of IDF fighter jets struck 17 military compounds and 4 operational command centers belonging to Hamas terrorist organizations in the Gaza Strip. Okay, so that's a good question. How well, it doesn't really seem like they have updated anything else. That's the last update is from 1346. So someone said 5,000 rock. Also a video, a news video I have somewhere also talked about 5,000. So that's the second witness on that. But the official IDF sources says approximately 2,200 rockets. So that's the official source pretty much. So of course there could have been fired more rockets after this point of time as well in regards to 1221. So they just ruined the festival of the Jews, Because, if people are going to follow the IDF in regards of going down to the bunker and all that, they're not going to celebrate much of the 8th day, right? The last. And I think it's the day that the priest would usually go down and collect water and go up to the temple and all that. And they, the Temple Institute had begun to do that. So I'm not sure if they're going to do that today, or pass it over in some sense. I don't know. It's just, it's just, you gotta be kidding me. It's like, think about, it's like for the pagans and the Satanists to do something on Christmas Day, pretty much, right? It's like a holy day for the Satanists to, and on Christmas Day, we just we lay down our weapons, we celebrate together, like what happened in World War I and all that. And they celebrate together these satanic anti-Christian festivals and all that, like Merry Christ Mass, which has nothing to do with Christianity, We don't count to 24, 25, we count to 50 in the spring. That's the Christian festivals. This Christ Mass is a satanic pagan festival. So yeah. So that's that's sad. It's I guess they prepared for it. And there was some numbers in regards of people being killed. And yeah, so over 100 Israelis kidnapped by Hamas. So 100, according to this, at least 100 Israelis has been captured. There's also been a good amount of them killed. So yeah, I guess it either way it will be like a win for the Mohammedans. They love to strike fear into their enemies, right? That's the whole point of Mohammedanism, to strike fear into the hearts of the Jews, right? That's what they do. And want to do. And it's just, I look at some of the propaganda videos, like with the bus in the background, an Israeli bus in the background that exploded, a civilian target. We're not talking about a military target, a civilian target, and this bus has been exploded, and they have these men, these powerful men standing there and singing in regards of, and fixing in regards of dynamite on his body, and this guy needs to go and blow himself up in the bus and all that. Give me a break, So it seems like Tommy Robinson is on the side of the Jews, because people were trying to get him to, why are you not mentioning the Jews, and blah blah blah. We have he's writing a lesson for those Jew-hating, obsessed morons who haven't even been to a Palestinian, so-called Palestinian, a Fakestinian refugee camp, or actually spoken to a refugee. The Fakestinians' leadership makes sure that people are kept in poverty and a perpetual state of war. And he writes, wake the beep up, and yeah, it's they use the resources they get from Israel to, like, making tunnels, right? So they get concrete from Israel, and what do they use it for? Oh, let's make some tunnels so we can attack Israel. It's like, yeah. So I can agree with, Tommy on that. Yeah, and some of the things that the Mohammedans do just to put fear in the enemy, like when they kill people, and they do the most vile thing with the corpses, just to make people like, okay, I remember, where one of the sources was like, okay, one thing is that you killed the people, right? Another thing is, why would you do this to all, the dead people? It's like, totally macabre. What is it called? Totally, just disgusting. It's a filthy, diabolical system, and anyone saying that Mohammedanism is a religion of fear is full of bullshit. It's a satanic religion of the devil, So I'll go, like one of the people said, so the Palestinians should give up their land. It is not their land. It's never been their land, And they're not Palestinians either. They're Egyptians or Saudi Arabians, So, but anyway, he says, so Palestine should give up their land. Israelis have raped and killed Palestinian women for years whilst taking their land. Are you denying that? Because there are plenty of videos. You're lying that you think Palestinian people don't want their land back and aren't being oppressed by Israel. Everyone knows you are founded by Israel, and everyone sees through your Israeli propaganda. You gotta be kidding me. People need to read the Bible. People need to read this book, right? And if they read this book, they might figure out, well, this little land, or this land that is in, where Israel is now, is actually God's land, and he gave it to the Jews. So he kind of decide who is going to be in that land or not be, right? And clearly he wants the Jews to be there at the moment. So I'm not going to stand against him in regards to that. If the Mohammedans want to stand against him, they're going to get the whip, or they're going to be smacked, If God, who's going to go against God, It's just absolutely foolish, absolutely insane, going up against God. You gotta be kidding me, It's just outrageous. He says, as if the Jews wouldn't do the same to a Christian. Get real. They're spitting on Christians like a few days ago. Well, it's just that, they do spit on Christians, in regards to. But you also do have to remember that a lot of those Christians that they actually is found in the old city is not Christians. They are worshiping idols and stones and images and all that. It's disgusting. So I haven't spitting or anything like that, but I can understand why they would be, at least in regards to those filthy things. They're not Christian, and if that's what their perspective is in regards to what a Christian is, it's disgusting. It's vile. These so-called proclaimed Christians, right? Because the problem is when people don't speak against it, right? As Christians, right? If Christians are not telling you this is disgusting, it is abhorrent, you should destroy those images and statues and all that. If we don't do that, how are the Jews going to know that we Christians actually don't want this disgusting, filthy, the wolves in sheep clothing? And worshipping a cookie and all that, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah. So let's see here. Thomas Robertson shares his thoughts, knowledges, and experience of the troubled region in the Middle East as Palestinian militants attack Israel. Okay. Let's actually see if I can find my link. Maybe I can push the link I have here to. I don't know if anyone wanna come on. Probably not. But anyway. Where do I actually find the link? Maybe I need to go on my YouTube. So, as usually don't come so many. But yeah, we can go and see if we can look on the. Maybe I need to. Woo, there I am. Okay, great. Let's see here. So the question is, I think I actually would agree pretty good in regards of, I think he's called something else, but he calls himself Tommy Robinson, right? I'm not sure if he's a Christian or anything like that. I don't think he is, but anyway, he should know his Protestant past and all that. I think I sent him a flyer in regards to that. Anyway, the Palestinian leadership makes sure that people are kept in poverty and a perpetual state of war. And yeah, I would agree with what he says in regards to that. So we'll just give him a thumbs up. Tommy Robinson shares his thoughts, knowledge, and experiences of that troubled region in the Middle East. As Fakestinian militants attack Israel. For context, Tommy has just watched a video of Fakestinians desecrating the dead naked body of a female Israeli and watch them spit on her corpse as they drive off with her in a truck. That's disgusting. For context. So where's the video? Oh, this on Twitter. Okay. I'm not sure I can see it on Twitch, because they usually close them down, right? You can't see things from the. Okay. We have. Okay, let's see here. Okay. Let's see if we can get some sound. I don't know if it.
Mindset of those organisations.
So here we have.
Just following up, seeing what's going on in Israel.
Mike, give me a break, not now. Go away.
To all those people before you come out screaming about helping Palestine, have any of you fucking ever been there? Have you ever gone on the ground to speak to people? Because I have. Yeah? I went into I went into Fatah-controlled refugee camps, yeah? I spent time with children, I spent time with families to understand who's oppressing them. The Palestinian Authority are oppressing them. Hamas are oppressing them, okay? Hamas are ISIS. Make no fucking mistake about it. Hamas are ISIS. Hamas were the democratically elected group that govern the Palestinians. Yeah, that's right. They elected ISIS to govern them. And they stopped having elections, of course. They are murderers. So if you're gay, yeah, and you want to stand there and say, oh, I support the Palestinian people, I support Hamas. Basically, I support against Israel. They will execute you. If you're one of these women who wears a Celtic top, who flies the Palestinian flag, try fucking walking through there. You stupid bitch. Try going to Palestine, going to their areas and taking a stroll down that street, darling. See how you get on, because they are barbarians. They're animals, which is what you're witnessing now. Okay? So, I'm very openly, and not because of I'm shilling, not because Israel gives me jack shit, never has, okay? But because it's the only democracy surrounded by totalitarian, fucking horrible, Islamic Sharia-driven shitholes. That's why, okay? So I support Israel. If there is a conflict going on right now with Hamas, which is ISIS, and Israel, and Hamas are targeting innocent Israelis, I absolutely 1000% stand with the people in Israel. And that ain't getting me no shekels, it just gets me abuse. Understand that as well, yeah? But I don't care. I'm not going to shy away because some people believe Israel does stuff wrong, this stuff. I went and spent a week there, I know lots of people there, I went and travelled the area, I try and understand the conflict, understand the argument, understand what's going on there, yeah? But I understand Hamas, I know who they are. I know their mindset, I know what drives them. I know the Islamic supremacy mindset of those organisations. And I know what they think for every single non-Muslim, yeah? So all you dickheads waving your Palestinian flags, I know what they think of you.
Yep, I pretty much agree with what Tommy says, you know? I don't know his real name, I can't remember. Doesn't he have another name? But anyway, for context, Tommy has just watched a video of Palestinians desecrating the dead, naked body of a female Israeli and watched them spit on her corpse as they drive off with her in a truck. But apparently we don't have that video because we're not allowed to see what is actually going on in regards of things, because that's too much for the powers to be actually seeing what is going on, right? But yeah, I stand with Israel as well, and I've been standing with Israel for many years. And I've also been called like a Mossad agent, when all this blew up in regards of all the 3 last years and all that. You had the truth movement, and I still stand for truth, of course. But if you try to go, wow, I'm really getting fat, like it's like getting old fat, it's like just anyway. And you go into these truth groups and all that, and there's Mohammedans in these groups, and they have they have a lot of hatred against the Jews, And I've been called the Mossad agent. Like, you gotta be kidding me. Do I look like I have had my credit card closed down 5 or 6 times the last 3 years, I'm really getting really low pay if I'm a Mossad agent, I just, Anyway, so it's just ridiculous, these, and there was, oh, you're a Mossad agent. Are you kidding me? It's like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this is what I live in, right? It's pretty much the size of a jail, pretty much. Well, it's not, at least not much bigger. Or maybe a jail cell is 3 times smaller. But anyhow, whatever, it's not much. I have a kitchen over there in the same room as, this is the living room. Kitchen, sleep on the floor, this is my bed over here, right? Yeah, but, that's my bed, But I'm Mossad agent? Oh, give me a break, It was like absolutely ridiculous, So, but you will get these absolutely disgusting, filthy But that's part of the truth movement. You have a lot of people in the so-called truth movement because, yeah, there's some truth, but they mislead you into lots of satanic bullshit in regards of the New Age, chakras, and alchemy, and, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever, Reiki healing, different kinds of drugs, and all that. Get in contact with demons and all that. Which, yeah, demons are real. It's like if I, it's like incredible when people say, well, no, they don't exist and all. I've had contact with them, and so has a lot of other people, and you're going to say they don't exist? How do you know they don't exist, Huh? Just because you haven't observed them, and people have a tendency to just, even if they experience something, they have a tendency to push it away. Oh, it's just my just making something up, whatever, but it's real, and you can find so much, information on it, it's so to deny all these testimonies on these things is just ridiculous. They do exist, and just because, like, we can see from red to violet, it doesn't mean there isn't anything beyond that. Of course, there, in regards of, infrared, ultraviolet, but there's a whole spectrum of things in regards of the, what's it called, the magnetic, I can't remember. Anyway, you can look it up in a science book and all that. And you have a huge amount of the magnetic spectrum, I think it's called, or something like that. But anyway, you have a huge amount of things that we can't perceive. It's like a dog flute, right? You can whistle in a dog flute and you can't hear the sound, but the dog can hear the sound. So it's like, so the sound does exist, but you don't hear it, okay? Same thing with the radio. You have a radio, right? And you turn it on, you have the thing wire up and all that, and you get the information which is going through the air and going into the radio, and whoops, there comes music out of the radio, okay? But you can't see it, you can't taste it, or some would say that we're like sensitive to EMF, electromagnetic fields and all that, which might actually have a way of actually responding to things of that nature. But overall, you don't usually, you wouldn't know that there's flying, music through the air, or images through the air, or data through the air. You wouldn't know that at this specific point, information is just flying out, just from the mobile itself, flying out there. It's like, I can't see the information, but I know it goes back and forward, right? I can see it actually up there to the right that 451 kilobyte is going out, and I'm getting 8 kilobyte back. So I can see it on the device, but I can't see the information around me going out or in, It's like, why is it? I can't see it, Anyway, the demons, is usually not seen either. But they can manifest and all that, so it's, yeah. Anyway, that's another topic, I guess. But yeah, there's absolutely demons around. So. But yeah, I would actually agree with Tommy Robinson, which I think has having another name. I stand with Israel as well, and I think it's. I think there's a pretty easy solution to fix this, and of course we knew that this would come again, and the conflict continues. It's nothing new. The conflict will continue until someone does something and get the people out of Gaza and give it to the Jews, and the same thing with the West Bank, and then just, this is Israel, get out, don't attack Israel. If you do attack Israel, you might lose some land, okay? So, that's just the, if some of these nations are going to attack Israel, just have in mind that you might lose some land, okay? That's just, So stop, if you might start blessing the Jews and Israel, you Mohammedans might get some blessings on the way, heading your way instead of cursing them, because then there actually might be some cursing heading your way. Oh man. So, but yeah. So yeah, Tommy Robinson. I guess he might have posted it on Telegram or something like that. I don't know. Of course, I know, in regards to seeing these videos,
Shall I have a rant?
these videos which are more of the harsh nature. I think Telegram is the place where you usually go for that, but I don't have Telegram because that's also controlled by. But as far as I know, it's still less. But there's no link for this video that he saw in regards of Tommy has just watched a video of Palestinians desecrating the Fakestinians, desecrating the dead naked body of a female Israeli, and desecrating. I wonder in regards of desecrating if that's in regards of other kind of things, but I don't know. But anyway, desecrating the dead naked body of a female Israeli and watch them spit on a corpse as they drive off with her in a truck. I don't know, maybe I don't know if there was any sexual things going on as well in regards to that. But at least, spitting on her, and yeah. As they say, right? We love death more than you love life. In regards to the Jews love life, and the Hamas, and these, they love death. I don't know if that's this song, if I can find this disgusting, filthy song, in regards of, I don't know if it's been removed from the internet, or you should be, it should be around somewhere, where they're singing in regards of, and you see this jihadist martyr blowing. It's a civilian boss, It's not even a military target or anything like that. They're just going for the, to go against the civilians, to make, to get fear in the Jewish people. They want the Jewish people to never feel safe. They want the Jewish people to feel fear, So yeah. But yeah, it's interesting that Tommy Robinson now being on Gap. I think there was another. Let's see if we can open. I think he has another profile as well on Gap. That was Tommy Robinson. But it's interesting because he's on a Roman Catholic platform, and he's actually standing with the Jews. Very interesting. Because a lot of people in here are Roman Catholics and Nazis, so they don't. Which is also the great thing with Gap, because we can speak to these people who have so much hatred against the Jews. So at least you have a way to actually speak. Why Muslims kill for Islam? I think actually should be murder, murder and kill, of course, is two different things and all that. But here we have Tommy Robinson. Apparently he was in Denmark for some time. I probably should have gone and seen him or something like that. But I think actually had a ticket and he actually didn't want to go. But I probably wouldn't have been able to get the ticket anyway, because then he would probably have wanted to go if I wanted to go, right? So, yeah. So yeah. Okay, so here we have Tommy Robinson has another apparently profile here. 36.7 thousand followers. He's himself following 20 people. So, that's interesting. So that's a lot of people following him. Let's see if we can find the page, and then we have Tommy Robinson official. So I'm not sure, maybe one of them is a group, and the other one is his. So if you wanna follow Tommy Robinson here, I guess he's on Gap, And I haven't seen Gap actually since, you do get some kind of censorship. I haven't really gotten many followers or anything like that on myself. We have 43.4 thousand followers. But yeah, I don't know if, Gap could be suppressing me. I don't know if they do in regards to the background, but I can still write at least, Facebook just puts me in jail every single time. This is the last thing in regards of my, I'm Facebook jail, right? See if it actually. So this is my last jail thing. Bullying and harassment and violence and incitement and hate speech, And that's wow, that's like a full house, isn't it? Nearly. It was like, oh, hate speech, violence and incitement and bullying and harassment. Wow. Comment remove, because I'm such a evil hate speaker and all that, and the police is looking for me as well, because some woman who I never met apparently is going to get a thing against me. I hope they come with a gold thing around it so I can hang it up or something like that. Yeah, whatever. I don't really, just bullshit. This insane world, Yeah, woman I never met. I never, sought her out in real life, and it's just insane. It just doesn't make any sense, Nothing makes any sense in this world anymore, It's just a downhill bad, It's just, yeah. The medical mafia is a disgusting, murderous business, and they're taking us down on so many levels. And either we speak up or try at least, or either we stand up or being killed and murdered, or we just lay down and let them kill and murder us. What is the best thing to do? To stand up or just to lay down? Let's stand up against this, these depraved bullshitters and evil people who are murdering us and hurting us and all that. Anyway, we have a video from the city of Ascalon. It's getting hit with Hamas strikes from Gaza now. So this is like 3 hours ago. Let's try to see here. See here.
תפילה בלייב. עכשיו. צמוד אליי. הכל בסדר. נפילה.
So this is there was a very small video. There's probably a lot of more stuff out there. I have a Jew in Israel who has responded to me, but now on live stream I don't wanna further. I wonder what he's going to say about things. But yeah, it's disgusting. And again, it should have been sorted out, many years ago, but no one want to listen, or no one want, it's just, they want the conflict. They want the conflict. And the Satanists behind the scenes want the conflict. They love conflict, instead of solutions, they just want a conflict. So, and we could solve this issue, and we could really, in regards to the so-called Palestinians, those Fakestinians, we know what they want, and it's not going to be as they, in regards to this disgusting, filthy things are going against the Jews, or butchering them and all that. So the only good solution is here to get them out of Gaza, get them out of the West Bank, get Israel to have full control over these areas. It's the land is the Jews. These Mohammedans have no place in the Holy Land. It's not their land. They should get out. In regards of this conflict, and of course the conflicts are going going on and on. Though, just get out. Give them some resources. Let them move out. There's a lot of Mohammedan nations out there in the world, and most of them are, from Egypt and Saudi Arabia in regards of Gaza anyway. Let them move back to their own nations and let them have a life there more in peace, right? And if any nation is going to attack Israel and all that, just be aware that you might lose a lot of land, okay? And if you attack Israel and they defend themselves and they take the land, from you, too bad. That's just how if you're going to attack them and try to obliterate them and blot them out, you can expect to lose a whole lot of land, okay? So, I think that's fair enough. If you're going to attack them and they, and they rebel you, or what do you call it? They take, they defeat you and all that. If Jordan, for example, attacked Israel, if Israel took all over all the Jordan, they would be, hello. If Jordan attacked them first, who is going to be the, if they lose the whole thing of Jordan after attacking Israel, which Jordan really pretty much is Israel anyway, much of it, right? In regards to the area, you have Israel in regards to the 12 tribes. Some of them stayed on the right side, and then you have the west side in regards to the West Bank, I think, yeah, right? It's called the West Bank, right? And so some of the Jews actually stayed over here. So that was Jews over here. Some of the tribes was over here, and then you have the tribes over here. So in regards of Jordan, actually has some of the land that is actually Israel. Now, of course, the nation of Israel at some point will grow into a huge, gigantic nation. And maybe the devil don't want that and don't like that and all that. But anyway, at the very least, just get the people of Gaza, the Fakestinians, out, send them back to Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Get them, repairs, whatever. Give them some resources so they at least have, an easier way to start anew someplace. If we can figure out something in regards of all these people so they can relocate them. And Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Jordan should help in regards to this. And to take upon themselves their own. Now, a lot of Israelis have come from the whole Middle East. A lot of Jews have been expelled from a lot of these nations, okay? So let's just keep the Jews in Israel, and the Mohammedans, you can just go to one of your Mohammedan nations, which there's a lot of, there's a huge amount of your Mohammedan, where you can, do your thing, right? Worship the devil as you do, right? So the solution is, again, pretty easy. Send those people in Gaza out of Gaza, send them to Egypt, send them to Saudi Arabia, or Jordan, for that matter, and the West Bank as well. Just give them, figure out some sorting of some resources so these people can regain their feet in another nation, so they have the least, and yeah, that should be possible, some money for moving. So and then we take some air out of the balloon. And if any nation attacks Israel after that, then if you lose land, it's on your own. If you attack Israel and you lose the land, your own land that you had, too bad, that's on you. If you're going to attack a nation, you might lose the land. That's just how you started the attack, you might lose the battle, the war, whatever. So, and who would like to want to attack Israel anyway, It's a huge blessing for the world, a huge, gigantic. I don't care if the Jews hate me and all that, I love Jews, and it's a huge blessing whether it's a huge blessing. Huge, gigantic blessing on so many levels. I can go to Israel. I can look at all the findings they find. They're digging up the Shiloh pool. Maybe we can go and have a bath in the Shiloh pool to clean ourselves in the future, and you can go and look at the places. You can get experience. You can talk to Jews and get some experience. Yeah, it's a huge blessing. Anyway, so yeah, I'll stand with the Jews. Why wouldn't you stand with the Jews, huh? Why would you stand against the Jews? God chose the Jews, It's like you're going to stand against God, Yeah, sure, a lot of the Jews have been misled into worshiping the devil these days. But that's not to say that God is done with the Jews, you know. So, which is clearly is not, because according to the book of Revelation, 144,000 Israelites is going to be sealed in the future. So if 144,000 Israelites is going to be sealed and stand for the truth in the future, then clearly God is not finished with the Israelites, which of course one of the tribes is the Jews. Now of course we in our days just called them Jews, you know. Of course that was, you know, you had the Israeli in regards to the northern kingdom, then you had the, you know, the Jews in the southern kingdom, which really was 2 tribes if I recall, maybe 3 tribes actually. But it was pretty much Yehuda, the Jews, you know, so so now we just call them Jews. The Jews became pretty much the norm of you know, the Israelites. But of course the Israelites was really 13 tribes. So anyway, so but yeah, that's sad, very sad. So anything else? I guess not. And no one sees this anyway. I don't know if apparently I'm totally down or something like that, but clearly not a single person is coming to the live stream. So yeah. Anyway, it's out there at least if anyone is interested. We can just update the IDF and see if there's anything new from. Sadly, I don't really, you know, I don't have any Hebrew channels to follow along in regards of. There should be some kind of Israeli news things on the internet. Maybe YouTube will still have something in regards of Israeli-Gaza conflict, probably. Also need some food, some juice or something like that. Oh, here we go. We have prayer alert is Israel in war, 1 hour. So yeah, here we have one of the at least proclaimed Christians. I don't think they want to talk about. Oh, here we have another one that is live. Maybe they're also talking about. Yeah, things are adding up, you know, and things can go really quick at some point. But anyway, let's see here. Alert.
Afternoon. Here in Israel, as I'm sure you heard.
Okay, it says over 2,400 rockets. So again, the number is a little, you know, but again, if we just call on the minimal, that's 2,200 from the Israeli. Let's see, here we have a live stream. I'm not sure if they're going to talk about that or if they're going.
And let me just, as you're looking for that scripture, keep in mind that it was then President Truman who came after Roosevelt died, and Truman actually was more sympathetic, I believe, to Israel. It was, and just keep in mind, where was Truman from? He was from Independence, Missouri.
Was he really?
Zion. Yeah, Independence, Missouri. From Zion, the place that. Nope. But this, so just so you know, I'm an evangelical Christian, but the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and many people at the Restoration believe that they will play a significant role in the end times, Independence, Missouri.
And later days saints would be the Mormons.
As well, speaking of end of days and stuff like that.
I was just reading this morning, and we had talked privately, it led me to read this morning about Orson Hyde.
Yes.
Who was one of the early, I don't know, what would you call it, founders of Mormons?
Yeah, absolutely.
To use an Islamic term, he was a companion of the Prophet. So, I mean, he was part of the inner circle with Joseph Smith Jr. And in 1841, he came to Jerusalem and climbed the Mount of Olives and offered a prayer for the Jews to return to Israel.
Yep.
And that's actually commemorated that spot with a park called Orson Hyde Park. And I was trying to find out.
Yeah, anyway, so they have a live session at the moment. Nehemiah, I met him in Israel a couple of times. one, two, three times or something like that in many years ago. Apparently he had some heart operation this or last year with his, I guess, wife or something like that. I wonder if they took the snake juice, but we can't speak about that, right? Because then we get censored and banned and all that. Okay, so we have the other guy here, proclaimed Christian. Nehemiah is not a proclaimed Christian. He's a Karaite, Karaite Jew, which is one kind of a Jew that do not follow all the the Babylonian Talmud rules and all that. You just go by the Bible. I like the Karaite tzitzits. There's in Jewish thing. There's different kinds of designs of tzitzits, and the Karaites have like a specific, which actually look pretty cool. But of course you can have tzitzits in different designs. I just have the standard tzitzits on this over here. It's just they're too dark for. I have different. I tested different tzitzits in regards of what do you call it? Colors and all that. That color was too dark. You can't really see it. It looks more like dark. It looks more like black than blue. I do have some other in regards to the tzitzits. Anyway, but you can also make different patterns and all that. But I'm not, in regards to making such things. It's just I'm really not good at small stuff and all that. It's just so whatever. Yeah, but they have some kind of interesting tzitzits, like a little bigger than usual. But so you can actually, if you knew in regards to the different tzitzits, you would actually be able to see what kind of Jews they are, if they are not just having it on. Like if I took something, I wouldn't be like from, I would just be a Christian, right? Trying to, oh, that looks cool, right? Let's take that on. But yeah, I just have the standard tzitzits, just to have them on. Actually, also need to order some more of these pants or whatever it's called, and some more seats and all that. And you just put them on the pants in the belt straps, and you just forget about them pretty much. In regards of, you don't need to take them off when you wash or anything like that. They can handle washing apparently. I don't. Now, of course, it will rub a little in regards to them, but overall, I haven't had. You can see these seats are fine. Of course they are a little. They're not as new, right? But they're still. They haven't broken or anything like that. And I've had them a good while and all that. And of course, if the pants breaks and all that, you can maybe reuse the seats, maybe. But anyway, I have different colors, and so that's of course makes it a little harder. And you would have. Well, I guess you could take different colors in regards to on. I guess that wouldn't be breaking the commandments. That's all. If you had like 4 different blue colors or whatever, I guess you could do that. But yeah, I don't think there's any rules in regards of against that. If that's what you have, I guess it's better than nothing, right? So this is from a Messianic, but the thing is, again, I'm a little afraid in regards to some of these, because they don't want to speak about the Antichrist. And I do seem to see some links in regards of ecumenical things, same thing in regards to the Danish group that goes to Israel, or if there's, I can't remember if there's more than one, but there's some images and things in regards of where they was United Nations and all that, and they have pictures of that, and it's like, anyway. So here we go with the prayer alert, Israel, war in Israel.
The Hamas forces from Gaza opened a full-scale war against Israel. Inconceivable that this could have happened.
And by the way, this is it's an hour ago that he made this. It's 24 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting that they would attack on this very day, a Sabbath and a high holy day, according to what the Jews are following. Um, so yeah. As someone writes here, such cowardice. Civilians, hostages, and an attack on the Sabbath. Yeah, and it's not only the Sabbath; it's on the high holy day. According to what the Jews are, most of the Jews are following. My prayer is that I guess this might be a. See, they don't want to write God. Anyway, my prayer is that God will embolden Israel leaders to end this Gaza insanity once and for all. Enter, eradicate, evict, and take the inheritance that was given them from the beginning. I pray Israel leaders take seriously the promise and edict from God. Ignore foolish Western opinions like my country's dithering and empty words. Not sure where this guy is coming from. There's only one whose words are forever and guaranteed. Do what we were told from the beginning. From the 6-day war to now, God is active and absolutely working miracles in our time. Be encouraged. We don't have to be strong. He is. Please, God, go before your chosen people and win this war for your glory and your reputation. I'm not sure where this guy's from, but anyway, yeah. In regards of Gaza and the West Bank, just send the people back to where they're coming from, and see if in regards of helping them in regards of support. Now, of course, it would be if the Egyptians and the Saudi Arabians and the Jordanians, whatever you want to call them, of course, if they actually would help in regards to this would but of course they might secretly actually want to, because this is the thing. If they can just keep Gaza in one specific, it's like a thorn in the side of Israel, So they want the people to just stay there and just be that nuisance or this issue for Israel. So might be a little hard to actually get Egypt or Saudi Arabia or Jordan to actually help on it, but it would be a lot of helpfulness but of course if they don't want to help with it, we know where they are standing on, right? How in regards of things, they want this conflict, they don't want to solve the issue. If that's the case, if Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Jordan don't want to take on these people, we know where they're standing, So how could you? Well, you could stop trading with these nations, right? That would be one way of.
First of all, accompanied with a large amount of rocket fire. Israel reported this time, it's just a few hours since it went out, that at this point 2,200 rockets apparently were shot in toward Israel from Gaza.
Yep, that would be at least from what we see in regards of the IDF source.
The Hamas forces are saying it was 5,000, so somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000.
Okay, so actually from the Hamas side, they say 5,000 and what, and the IDF says 2,200. Okay.
The Hamas forces are saying it was 5,000. So.
Okay, so they say 5,000, and well, who knows? They might try to make it more than it is.
Somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 rockets were shot in toward Israel. Mm-hmm. What was also surprising about this attack was that ground forces from Hamas entered in to the towns. It seems to be about 10 towns on the Gaza border with inside of Israel. We don't have all the full reports yet, and everything we say here is from somewhat sketchy a little bit from what we're hearing from the front, but in about 10 different towns, Hamas terrorists entered into them. It seemed that at one place they broke through the barrier on the border with a bulldozer, and the terrorists entered in from there. They're saying others came in from the sea, even some sort of parachuted in, and there was even some Rafchanim, the little manless airplanes that come in and was shooting into the country. So that was all going on, a total surprise. It also, what happened was the people that infiltrated went into these towns, and many people were killed. At this point, we hear there's just 22 people killed, but I suspect the number is larger than that. They're saying at this time that 545 people were hospitalized and injured, but again, the numbers could go up more than that. What happened more was that the terrorists that went into these towns started open fighting in the streets, went into people's homes. We have one case that we know of. I just heard a recording from her, a Messianic believer in one of the towns surrounding Gaza, that two terrorists broke into her home. They locked themselves in the little shelter room, and she said a lot of people were being shot and others were kidnapped. Finally, the Israeli forces showed up and killed the two terrorists that had infiltrated her home, blood on the walls and so on. Now, the challenge here is that, at least from these initial reports, that a good number of people have been kidnapped and taken into Gaza. What makes that, of course, difficult is that Israel cannot allow that to go on. Israel's going to have to go in. The situation with all those things happening is going to force Israel into a major response. Prime Minister Netanyahu already said this is not a military operation, it's a full-scale war. And it means that our forces are going to have to go in. We can't just bomb, because they've kidnapped people and also killed innocent civilians in the border town. We're going to have to go in there physically. Now, we don't know. No plans have been announced, but it seems like this is going to demand not only an air attack, but a sizable land invasion into Gaza in order to take down the Hamas forces that started this war, and also to how to deal with these people that have been kidnapped and captured. Netanyahu has already stated he's gathering together the leaders in the government and the army to plan our next stages, and there's been a full reserve call-up in Israel, what we call Tzav Shmone, which means that all the reserve forces are being put on alert, and that's what Israel does before before we do a major war offensive. So that looks like it's what's going to happen. Extremely serious. Of course, we'll get more information, facts going on. We're only getting very partial reports right now, and mostly other reports you can pick up in the news. I wanted to touch a little bit on some of the other areas. How's this going to affect the government, the military, psychologically, diplomatically, spiritually, scripturally? What's going on to help you, for those of you who want to pray? So let's look at a few of those factors, and these, of course, are a matter of interpretation. A lot of people might not agree with me, but let's start with the first thing, is that Hamas is claiming that they're calling this Mabul al-Aqsa, that this is a flood of response for our people disturbing the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is pretty preposterous. There's been no real incidents on the Al-Aqsa Mosque. There's free access to the mosque from just hundreds of thousands of Muslims go there to pray. There haven't been any incidents of any significance there recently. But the reason they say that is because it has to do with a little bit of apocalyptic sense of the belief in extremist Islam, that their Messiah, the Mahdi, is going to return and come into Jerusalem, go into the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So it's kind of a real Armageddon type scenario is why they're saying that. The other reason that they're saying that is because it's an emotional issue, to a demagogic issue, to stir up the other people. What Hamas is trying to do now is make announcements to try to stir up all the people, the Arabs in the West Bank or Israeli Arabs, to go and just spontaneously start fighting Israel all over the place. Will that happen? We'll have to see. I think most of the Palestinians don't want a war like that, because frankly, they're the ones that have the most to lose from all this. We will have a lot of losses, but they're going to have a lot more. And it's really tragic because these extremist, militant, terrorist, Islamicist extremists are forcing a war here that is just it's going to hurt our people, but it's going to hurt their people much more. But they don't care about that. That's not what they want. They're looking to incite a war, a suicidal attitude to incite a war, because all the destruction that comes out, that's what they're in favor of. Now, on the Israeli side, psychologically, I want us to remember that this comes right at the end, the same week of the 50th year anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. Interesting enough, that the Yom Kippur War, of course, was a big surprise, and nothing else has really been a surprise since 50 years ago. It is very touching the memories of Israelis that this is a surprise. Why didn't our intelligence know more about this? How could this taken us by surprise? Both in the surprise element and also the fact that it's pulling us into a war that we didn't really want is reminiscent in some ways of the 73 war, at least in that psychological aspect. I'm not saying that the breadth of the war will be that way. We don't know. But it is psychologically reminiscent of that. What that also causes psychologically here in Israel, there will be afterwaves of this, of the different sides blaming one another. Well, was it our fault that we didn't have the right intelligence? Why didn't we know that? Why did this take us by surprise? Both sides of the government will begin, in the political side, right and left wing, will immediately start accusing one another. The right wing will say it's the left wing's fault, the left wing will say it's the right wing's fault, the government, the opposition. So there will be a lot of accusation going on in the air and investigations that are going to go on for years after this happens. That's part of the psychological results of these wars. It's also worth saying, I've mentioned this before, that people don't realize how psychologically damaging the 1973 war. That the people that were my age, a little older than me, that were the fighting commanders in that war, have really suffered post-military trauma for these whole 50 years. I mean, even having nightmares every night for all these 50 years. So this situation is a very traumatic one, and because of taking of the hostages, it's going to force us to go into a ground operation, probably, into Gaza. It's going to cause much more psychological damage that will go on in our people afterwards. Now, governmentally, at least for the immediate period of time, when there's a war, our people will surround the prime minister and support it. So for the next 2 weeks, probably, Netanyahu is going to get a lot of support, and will call for a unified government and an emergency government to fight the war, and everybody, while the fighting is going on, will stand with it. How is that will be interpreted after this war is finished? Whether that will end up strengthening the present government, or moving it toward a unity government, or moving the opposition in, we don't know. But there will be governmental repercussions as to what happened in this time. At least, however, for the next 2 weeks, probably, it's giving the current government a green light for a full military operation, a war, and that the people will be supportive of it. Now, as I said, one of the things that's interesting or difficult on the actual tactical part of it is because if there's a large number of hostages taken, and nobody's giving a clear figure as to what that number is right now. Some are saying it's a few, but some reports are saying there's a lot of them, both civilian hostages and military hostages. If that's so, that's going to, as I say, force Israel into a larger scale ground operation where they can't stop. And here's the paradox of that, is that because you can't find a hostage, because they'll put them in a basement somewhere, and it's almost impossible to find them, which means that it's going to force us to keep fighting. It'll force our hand, Israel's hand, to go in and keep fighting until probably the taking down the Hamas forces totally. It's almost pulling us back to another political question was, should we have left Gaza in the first place 15 years ago? So it's raising up a lot of these issues that are surrounding right and left-wing politics going into the war. Now, it's also, if we were asked...
Now, if you Israelis go in and take Gaza, you send those people back in Gaza to Egypt and Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, you have to make them leave, and you just take over that area again. And the Western Bank as well. Just, it was just further conflicts are just going to come out of this if, so, if you just let it alone. This should have been done for a long time in regards of, making up a deal in regards to these people in Gaza, trying to make some kind of where people could move with some resources to, relocate into Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Jordan. But I guess these nations might not want to help on because they want the conflicts. So, but they should help in regards to this. Of course, with the rest of the world, they could help in regards of giving these people that needs to relocate some resources. And of course, Israel itself helping in regards of giving these people some resources so they have a chance for a better life someplace else. In Jordan, in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, or any other Mohammedan nation of, worshipping this devil they call Allah, which is of course Satan. And of course the best thing they could do is to turn to the real Jesus. But there's a lot of, demons out there and people that likes darkness more than the light. So anyway, let's listen to him further. But yeah, it's kind of a problem, isn't it? If they're taking a lot of hostages, and of course, where are those hostages, right? That's kind of I can see why that would force the Israeli government to need to do something about it, right? And if the Hamas are not going to want to give these hostages back, then I can see that would force Israel to make some operations. And overall, the end of this should be the expulsions of the Fakestinians or Fakestinians, and just get them, see if some kind of diplomatic thing could be made with the Egyptians or the Saudi Arabians or Jordanians, or maybe some of the other Mohammedan nations that would, take these and, spice it up with some resources as well. So they, get something out of it in some sense, right? And then we can get this, little, this bump in the road gone, and take some of the oxygen or some of the air out of the balloon. It won't take it all out of for sure, but it should, at least help somewhat, Anyway, because it's pretty much ingrained in Mohammedanism that kill the Jews, murder the Jews, make a bloodbath in Israel, drive them out to the ocean, and yeah, that's just how it is.
Ask the question, well, why did this happen? One way to look at it is that because of the deep divisions within the country, that the jihadist forces thought that Israel was weak and therefore they could make an attack. But the divisions within our people are not going to affect us in time of a war. Everyone will unify in a time of a war. So although that's a possibility. For those of us who believe in spiritual moral reasons, there are those who are saying because we have so much sin in our people that God has allowed us to be as a rebuke for our own sinfulness, and this is an opportunity for our people to turn and repent. I would say the more obvious cause potentially would be more actually that the reaching out between Israel and Saudi Arabia to make a peace treaty. Why is that so? Because Israel and Saudi Arabia making a peace treaty is making a pact which would help Saudi Arabia stand against Iran. Now remember, Iran is the only major country with a jihadist extremist government, which is in charge, has all their military and their government and economic resources. The money that is funding Hezbollah and Hamas and Islamic Jihad is funding terrorism within the Palestinians is coming from Iran. So it seems to be on the surface that what's going on here is that this is a reaction coming from Iran, sponsoring a reaction to try to stop the peace treaty between Israel and Saudi Arabia. I would also say that it has to be Iran's hand in it, as I'm guessing, because this would be a little too much for Hamas to make this large of a decision to make a full-scale attack against Israel. They are submitted to the Iranian ayatollahs and are also financed by him. There's no way that they would do this, not only without permission, but without directive coming direct to them from Tehran. So it would seem to me that this war is a reaction from the Palestinian jihadists who are being supported by Iran, because those in Iran want to stop Israel and Saudi Arabia from having a peace treaty. Another aspect of that, a side aspect of that, is that some of the Palestinians feel that a treaty between Israel and Saudi Arabia would be kind of ignoring them and depressing their hopes for having a Palestinian state, or even overriding Israel and killing Israel again. The Israeli position and the Saudi position has been more, no, if we can establish a normalization of relationships between Israel and the more moderate Sunni Muslims in the surrounding states, that will give a framework in which we could come to a peaceful solution for the Palestinians, if at all possible. In any case, I think the moral logic is probably more on that side. Now, let's go on. So the diplomatic questions as we come out of this war, whenever it ends, one will be, is this going to increase the possibility of a treaty between Israel and Saudi Arabia, or will it stop it? That's a good question. We can't know for now. Will this end up in Israel staying in Gaza, reoccupying Gaza, because we've really left it a number of years ago, and overthrowing Hamas and bringing military rule there? I would say this Israel really does not want to do that. The problem is, because of the full-scale attack and because of the hostages, I don't know how Israel's going to get out of not going in to a full-scale takeover of Gaza for right now, although most of our population wouldn't really want to do that. Now, what that will then be after that, after this happens in the upcoming elections, or which part of our own political realm that will support, we don't know, something for us to pray about. On the spiritual side, I want to talk to you, those of you who are listening who are committed Bible readers and followers of Yeshua and pray according to the leading of the Holy Spirit. Let's look at that a little bit, the spiritual question. First of all, let's remember that 2 Corinthians 10 and Ephesians 6 says that our battle is not against flesh and blood. In other words, we don't see this just on a human level. We're not pro-Jewish and anti-Arab. That's not what we're about. We see that behind wars on this earth, there's a spiritual battle. It has to do with good angels and bad angels, forces of light against forces of darkness, and forces of good against forces of evil. And so that's the area in which we pray for, that there would be victory in that sense. Secondly, I would say, for those of us who are followers of Yeshua, let's remember that he's not just the sacrificial lamb walking with a white robe and sandals along the shores of the Galilee 2,000 years ago and crucified for us, but he's also the warrior-like commander-in-chief of the armies of heaven, the commander-in-chief of the armies of Israel, even the Bible says. So God knows about war. God doesn't want war, but when conflict comes, when conflict is forced, we want to pray and believe that the outcome of the war will be good, despite the casualties. And the casualties are always going to be bad. there will be much evil results in that sense. But if we pray correctly and pray strongly, we want to believe that many good results will come out of this, whether it's diplomatically, whether it's politically, whether it's morally, whether it's people repenting, whether it's both Arabs and Jews opening themselves up to say, listen, our situation is insolvable here. Let's turn to God, let's humble ourselves, and let's pray that we can pray for the good news of Yeshua, forgiveness and learning to love your enemies. Maybe this will result in a spread of revival in Israel and in the surrounding Arab territories. That's what we're always here for. We're not. There is no ultimate victory in just in a military situation. The ultimate victory is people, of course, receiving eternal life through Yeshua, and we want that both for Arabs and Jews and for internationals. Whoever we are, being Arab, Jewish, or international, we always want to look at these situations as an opportunity for all of us to repent. Because part of spiritual warfare is not just there in the Gaza Strip, it's in our own hearts. Each one of us has a spiritual warfare in our own hearts. So we have to wage our own internal spiritual warfare, which is to repent, to forgive people, those who have hurt us, to commit ourselves to walk in love and into righteousness. So let's not just think about the outward war, let's also remember our own war, to dedicate ourselves to purity of heart, faith, reading the Bible, praying as we should. I also want to say that within the Messianic Jewish remnant here in Israel, of course, we just had our congregation in Jerusalem, Ahavat Yeshua. We had to cancel the meeting because the government issued and said there should be no public gatherings on this day. And we went to a Zoom meeting where we were praying for this. But Israeli Messianic congregations all over the country are praying. And I also want to say at this point to lift up our dear friends, brothers and sisters in the Spirit, cousins physically, and that is our Christian Arab friends, both Christian Israeli Arabs and Christian Palestinian Arabs, who are truly born again and walking in the Spirit. They are praying with us. Many of them are calling us. We are walking in love in the midst of what this is happening, and we want to pray as well for them to be strengthened. They are in an extremely difficult situation, almost an impossible situation socially, psychologically, what's happening. So we want to pray. I want to ask you to pray to strengthen the Messianic Jewish community in Israel, and also to strengthen the Christian Arab community in the Palestinian territories and in Israel proper, so that we can to stand and that we can walk in love to one another and stand in a victory together. I'm also thinking that internationally, now this is a strange thought, because of the media today and because of the awareness of Israel around the world, there are probably more people praying for Israel and praying for this situation than has ever happened in the history of Israel. I mean, if you go back to biblical times, the people that are praying for Israel right now and for this situation is a huge number of people. So I want us to believe for a good outcome. Let's remember, God is all powerful and He's good. So we always win in the long run. But we want to pray for victory, moral victory, spiritual victory, and military tactical victory. That on the military side, there will be a quick victory to destroy the military terrorist forces of evil and to bring more law and order and peace into the area. We also want to pray for a spiritual victory, that this is going to help people all over the Middle East repent, to pray for revival, pray for people to come to faith, and for a spiritual victory to come out of this, not only military. So we want to look at this in all of its dimensions, the military aspect, tactical, strategical, psychological aspects for our people, the government, the diplomatic side, and for the spiritual side, the spiritual warfare of advancing the kingdom of Yeshua at this time and strengthening the Arab and Jewish and international remnant here in the Middle East, to see something good come out of that. And that's what I want us to pray for. And I want you to remember, yes, war is horrible and war is scary, but we have to stand in faith. The more we can be in faith, confidence in God intervening for the good, the less damage will be done and the more good will happen. So let's pray. Father, we thank you in the name of Yeshua. By faith, we call upon you, God, that you are the God of hosts. Yeshua, you are the commander of the armies of Israel, the armies of heaven. And we pray, God, for you to intervene in this very difficult situation.
This is also one of the interesting things in regards of the armies, right? Which is translated as host in some of the translations, like the King James Version. And then it's interesting to see the Michael thing in regards of Michael, which is said to be the chief of Israel, and yet he says it's Jesus, right? So where the Bible talks about, well, it seems to be saying Michael, right? He's relating it to Jesus. So again, this is one of these things that I further need to research. But clear to see, it seems to be some, in regards of going. It's pretty much, you can, I guess you can really gather two options. Either Michael is just below Jesus, or Michael is Jesus. That's the two options there is. Because Jesus, of course, is the head of Israel, and Michael is the head of the Israel, so it's whatever. Anyway, probably not a
situation. You are all powerful, but we pray to move everything that is bad here and turn it for good in all these different dimensions. We pray for a clear and swift as possible military victory to stop terrorists and evil forces. We pray for correct law and order in the best possible situation for the Gazans and for the Israelis. And we pray for all of the government and society and the people of Israel and the surrounding countries. Lord, we pray for right attitudes to come out of it. This war is going to produce a positive result. And Lord, the question of the potential treaties between Israel and the surrounding nations, if that's a good idea, we pray for it to be strengthened. If it's a bad idea, we pray for it to be stopped. But above all, Lord, we pray for your people here in this land, again, Jew, Arab, and international, to strengthen them and encourage them, and to pray for the light of the good news of the love of God to spread out. Lord, you told us when we're in war, in darkness, we are to be a force of light and good, and I pray for that to happen, to strengthen all the people here to be a force of good and light and victory. In Yeshua's name, amen. Keep praying. We'll have updates for you soon. As I say, this is just a few hours since the start of it. The facts will come out very quickly, and we'll keep in touch. We love you.
So, I can't remember what the guy is called. I don't know where they are in Israel in regards of. But, you also have to, in regards of these ministries, it's interesting to see some of the connections that they have, and when they don't speak about the Antichrist, it just smells some kind of, some sense, it's, okay, believing in Yeshua, okay, that's not bad, of course, no. But they're not speaking about the Antichrist, which was so standard a thing in the past. And when you find out, if you actually speak about it, you're going to be thrown out of these places, of these ministries. They don't want you to have you around. And you just have to wonder, why is that? Oh, here we go with Francis Chan is apparently in the Tikkun Global Conference. Now you would wonder, why would this guy that is clearly going ecumenical in regards of the cookie Jesus and all that nonsense, in regards of Roman Catholicism and all that, why would he be at a place like that, right? That's just it's just one of these things where you begin to see the connections, where it's like, So at least if a ministry don't want to talk about the Antichrist, it's just kind of it's kind of, something seems to be wrong, And I found out in regards to the Danish, some of the Danish groups that goes to Israel, that seem to have an issue. It seemed they might have had an issue because, in regards of proclaiming the Antichrist, in regards to the papacy. So, and again, I saw pictures with them in regards of United Nations and some of that thing, and I'm like, that's, it's just, if you know where the United Nations goes and all that. So yeah, who knows? I just sick and tired of liars and deceivers. I can't just spill the beans, outright, and talk about the Antichrist as the papacy. Okay. I got some thumbs up apparently. I wrote here, think about having an enemy that actually calls people up to tell them to leave their house or apartment as they're going to blow it up. How many nations you ever heard doing that in a war? Maybe I'm just ignorant, although still must really suck having to leave your home to see it bombed. You even have the idea for boarding when too many people is still around. But anyway, see here, we have as in regards of the thing is apparently the guy that, no, he's still there. Okay, that's still a negative thumbs down in regards of how to solve the thing. Oops. Oh, apparently I pushed myself. I gave myself a like. That was not. So there's like 1 dislike and 3. It's an easy solution, really. Well, at least it's. At least that's what I see it as. It's a better solution. It's a solution as how it should be done. That because this will continue. These things will continue in regards of attacks, and it won't stop. It won't stop. So the best thing is to just get them out of Israel, at least, and protect those borders that, the standard line, and just, yeah. So, anything else? I guess not. Oh, well, I guess they're still ongoing with the live stream on Nehemiah's channel, or is it stopped? Let's see if it's stopped or not. They might be finished.
Okay.
Yep, they seem to be finished. It was shown 1 hour ago. I'm trying to make some popcorns, but which actually I'm actually not sure if that's, I thought cooking was allowed on the Sabbath, in regards of, but I might be wrong about that. I just, in regards of researching it many years ago, I came to the conclusion, okay, as long as you buy the food before the Sabbath, it's okay to make it. As far as I understand it, but I might be wrong, But that's at least how I understood it, So at least, but except the 1 day where you're not to eat anything and all that, and you're to inflict yourself at least. So yeah, I guess we're going to see more of the conflict. I don't know, maybe RT maybe has something, but of course if I go, well, I can do it on the No, I'm not sure if I actually have the browser. Oh yeah, I do have the Tor browser. I'll see if RT has something on it. Of course, Israeli news would pretty much be the better way of things. I can smell the oil, but I don't hear any popping in regards to the... well, sometimes it just doesn't go as you want. Okay, anyway, rt.com. The mobile's pretty hot for sure. That's an old mobile, 7 years ago or something like that it came out, but no mobile after that pretty much have come out that is as good as. So anyway, Russia's ex-president blames U.S. for Israel-Hamas fightings. Okay. Moscow and Kiev react to Israel-Palestine escalation. Tehran praises Hamas assault on Israel. So this is the rt.com, but of course, if you go to, Roman disgusting EU doesn't want you to, have access to the rt.com because they want to, only have you see their propaganda. So you have this, because we live in a so free society, so apparently it's okay to just block people from going on different websites. Oh, I think I heard a popcorn pop. So you need to have a browser like Tor to get around that. That's disgusting. I really feel disgusted, saying, oh, we're a free nation and blah, 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 blah. And the censorship and the banning and it's everywhere and all that. You're just disgusting. Oh, we have some popcorn popping. Great. Okay. So, but yeah, so this is the website. So you need the Tor browser, and you can get into it. Moscow and Kiev react to Israel conflict. Okay, let's try this one. I'll just go over to the popcorns and put some popcorns into it, and put a lid on it. Well, I'll go here. I don't know how many are we going to. I guess something of that nature. Should make a pretty good portion of popcorns. Yeah, I don't seem to see them. They don't totally pop like. Well, whatever. Still a couple of them. There we go. Now it's the last one here. There we go. Good. Oh yeah, popcorn incoming. Hopefully. Sometimes doesn't end so good. I don't know. Maybe it should have been a little hotter, but usually, you want to have the. Maybe I should have put it on 6 instead of 5. Maybe 6 would be better. Anyway, so Tehran praises Hamas assault on Israel. A senior Iranian military official has backed Hamas Al-Aqsa storm operation. Major General Yahya Rahim Safavi, commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran, joins thousands of Iranian faithful hear a political lecture and say Friday prayers at Tehran University. You can probably find some videos where Iranians are praising the attacks or something like that. A top advisor to Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, has offered his congratulations to the Palestinian militants who launched a surprise attack on Israeli territory on Saturday, according to the semi-official Iranian news organization ISNA. Well, at least we know who attacked who, right? At least it's not like, okay, it was this and that. No, we know who attacked who, right? We know who was the first cause in regards to this time. We congratulate the Palestinian fighters, Major General Yahya Rahim Safavi said, according to the news source, promising that Tehran will stand by their side until the liberation of Fakestinian and Holy Jerusalem. Holy to who and holy to what people? So, it's just disgusting. And there's no liberation of so-called Palestine. Speaking in the Iranian capital of Tehran at the 6th International Conference on Solidarity with the Palestinian Children and Adolescents on Saturday, Safavi also said that we support the Al-Aqsa storm operation. So, we have Israel at war. Let's just push that and all that. But anyway, you can go look on the RT.com if you want, from the Russian propaganda sources compared to the Western propaganda sources. And of course it would, and you have the IDF website as well. And you probably also have some, some Israeli stations, which I would think you would be able to connect to on the internet at some point. Hamas will pay a price like it never knew before, the country's prime minister has warned. So Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the country is at war. In his first comment after Fakestinian armed group Hamas launched a major surprise attack on Israel earlier on Saturday. Citizens of Israel, we are at war and we will win, Netanyahu said in a video address. The enemy will pay a price like they have never known before, he vowed, referring to Hamas. Netanyahu comments were echoed by the Israeli Defense Forces chief spokesman, Rear Administrator, I think, or Admiral maybe, I don't know, Daniel Hagari, who said that Israel is in a state of war following Hamas' surprise attack early on Saturday. The IDF has declared a state of war, he said in a video statement. We are in a state of war. Here we have in regards to over 2,000 rockets. I just need to check my popcorns. Let's shake the bottle here. We also need some salt. I actually don't have some good salt. I only have crab salt. Huge amount of difference. I think there could be a lot more popcorns in regards to the amount of, but whatever, should have a bigger bowl, but I'm not sure where. Oh, that's in there. Okay. Well, let's see if we have some salt, but it's sadly not the good salt as far as I know. This is a little big salt. Do we have some? Some of the salt is just not really good. I guess we can take a little of the biggie salt here. Yeah, whatever. The so-called WHO say salt is bad. That means eat more salt. That's how you decipher things like that. Wow, a lot of the salt is just in the pot apparently. There we go. Put some salt here. Anyway, that was a little, but yeah, I think, we'll see what happens, I guess. That's some of the sources. But yeah, I think it should have been solved long ago, and Israel should never have given up Gaza. Gaza should just have been kept by the Israelis, and the West Bank as well should also have been totally controlled by. And the people in the West Bank should move to Jordan, so-called Jordan or whatever, Just get these people that hate Israel out of the land and stop with the conflicts. So we can get some, at least, but yeah, that's a lot of conflict. Everybody loves hating Jews, right? So, at least 22 Israelis have been killed since beginning of the surprise attack by Hamas, according to this. I think there's more than that, but and of course they have, if they talk about over 100 people having been taken as hostages, so that's a kind of an issue. Let's see if we can find. It could be nice if I could find some Israeli direct from Israel or something like that, news, today, live, English or something like that. Let's try that. Live updates, Israel, well, there's Fox, That's kind of not from Israel. We have Israeli TV, Israel News. Israel at war, 29 minutes ago. Israel officers, that's for 23 hours ago. A wound in a gun battle with two terrorists in Tulkarem. Well, that's before the war began. Here we go. Times now, but that's like English, right? Oh, it would be nice with. I could actually, if I could fix some of the Israeli stations or something like that and put on to live stream or something like that. Full special report: Israeli declares war with surprise attack. Well, that's 5 hours ago. Okay. Well, anyway, let's see if we can get the camera on here. This one again. See if we can do the same thing as we did beforehand. It went pretty good, I guess. And this is live. This is CNN. Well, there we go. Israeli TV news. Well, that's 1 month ago. Okay, let's see here what we have. There we go. We have some live stream here.
To try and do this, and I think Iran will be at the forefront of this. They're going to be saying things. This also, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but this does coincide with Saudi Arabia actively discussing recognizing the state of Israel, joining the Abraham Accords. That is a tectonic shift in Middle East relations. And one of the things that hangs out there is that the Saudis have always, basically said, look, we support Palestinian statehood, we support the Palestinian cause, but they've been very quiet about this. They have not been saying much about it of late, and this might be a way for Hamas to force that into the discussion. And when you talk about that, again, you're talking about nation states in the Middle East that may have an interest in making sure this does become part of the discussion. Because when you talk about Saudi Arabia, inherently you're talking about the tension with Iran and Iran's connections with Hamas and Syria and Iran backing Syria. It's a very interconnected thing. It's not just one particular issue.
Hal, you raised a great point during your comments here, and I actually want to highlight that. You said this attack was so unprecedented, and it caught people by surprise. I wonder, do you think because of that one side might just concede and say, you know what, we're going to give you what you want? Because if this unprecedented attack impacted us so much at this point, it might potentially just get worse.
Oh, I don't see the Israelis backing down at all. And I don't think Hamas is going to back down. The thing with Hamas is they don't have a lot to lose in this. I will say one thing that's kind of interesting, and it does remind me a little bit of and this is going way back, the Tet Offensive in Vietnam. The Tet Offensive caught the U.S. and South Vietnamese Army by surprise. And it got, obviously, we said we're winning, and then all of a sudden this offensive came up. Now, militarily speaking, after the Tet Offensive, the Viet Cong and NVA units that were involved were decimated. I mean, it really set them back years. I kind of look at this with Hamas. They shot all these missiles. They've sent all these fighters into harm's way. A lot of them probably won't come back. And I'm wondering when this is done, if this wasn't a kind of a last-ditch thing for political purposes to show that they're relevant, to make a statement, even though they may be aware that the costs are going to be horrendous for Hamas as an organization, as a paramilitary force. I'm kind of wondering if this is something like that in Muhammad al-Deif's calculations. He said, look, we're just going to go for it. And he said something that may have been a kind of an indicator that's their mindset. He said, enough is enough. And when and that was his justification. What he's talking about is that the status quo of Gaza was something that they just could not tolerate, and so that they might be that they were desperate enough to do something like this. Although I would say for Hamas militarily, I think they're going to be very much set back for many years. but they're playing on a political stage. I don't think they're looking at the military capability. I don't think they're looking at really marshaling or saving their military capability for another day. I think what they're looking at is making a statement now because they realize they're going to get worse and worse with the status quo, and that's why they push so hard with this attack. And they're looking around the world. Don't get me wrong. They're looking at Ukraine. They're looking at what's going on in the South China Sea. They're tied. They're tied into the global info space like everybody else. They know that the U.S., the main backer of Israel and other countries, have other interests. Europe has other interests. And so the timing is in part affected by some of these other things.
Halcon, for always a pleasure speaking with you on Live Now from Fox. I just love how you put everything into perspective. Is there anything else you'd like to add as we're on the edge of our seats watching all of this unfold? Anything we can expect to see in the coming days as this continues to unfold right before our eyes?
Well, one of the things you're going to have to watch for is what Europe does and what the U.S. does. Initially, I think European capitals, and I literally just got back from Europe a few days ago. European capitals and the U.S. are going to look at this and say, okay, Israel has to respond to this in a military fashion. They're going to talk about we need to, stop the hostilities. We need to develop, find a truce or a ceasefire or something. And there'll be all that work going in there. But I think I don't think there's going to be a lot of pressure on that initially. There will be some rhetoric, but not a huge amount of pressure on that. Also recognition that it just simply can't be implemented in the short run. And I think next week, probably in the middle of next week, you may see a lot more pressure on Israel and whatever channels we have with Hamas to try and find some way to de-escalate this situation. But I don't know which way it's going to go. And frankly, this thing just kicked off at 6:30 this morning. And based on how successful they've been so far, he said this, Mohammed al-Deif said this is going to be a longer war. He basically said this is much longer than what we see this morning. So we could see something else coming out that we don't expect.
All right. Well, I know you're keeping it real, but that's honestly scary to hear, as we've already seen bombings and several hundreds dead and thousands other wounded. Hal Kempfer, thank you again for joining us here on Live Now from Fox and breaking all of this down.
Thank you, Janine.
All right. We'll be speaking to you again in the coming days. If you're just now tuning in to Live Now from Fox, it's Saturday, October 7th. It is 12:43 on the East Coast, 9:43 on the West Coast. Good morning or good afternoon to you. I'm Jeanne Francine. I'll be hosting the next few hours. Let's go ahead and go to our third commercial break. And when we come back, getting right back into your top stories and headlines. You're watching Live Now from Fox.
False. I don't ever have anything from Israel. That's a lie. Well, Israel, that's not so. It's 37 minutes ago. That's fine.
October 7th, 2023 will go down in infamy in Israel, 50 years and a day after the surprise attack by Arab nations in the 1973 Yom Kippur War. This surprise attack by Hamas terrorist groups from Gaza came on the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. Before 7 this morning, Hamas terror groups launched the deadliest of Simchat Torah. Before 7, Gaza came on the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. Before 7 this morning, Hamas terror groups launched the deadly assault on Israel, with terrorists infiltrating by air, land, and sea. By late this afternoon, there were still terrorist gunmen in a number of Israeli communities. The center of the country was targeted by thousands of rockets fired from Gaza, with rocket fire continuing throughout the day. As of now, it's been reported that there have been at least 100 Israelis killed and over 900 wounded in the multi-pronged attack. There are indications that a number of Israeli hostages have been taken back to Gaza. Netanyahu convened the Security Cabinet, which is considering the Israeli response, with Netanyahu declaring that Israel is at war. This after the IDF declared Operation Swords of Iron. The Air Force has been striking Hamas targets in Gaza, but a larger IDF response is expected. Defense Minister Gallant and IDF Chief Halevi announced a major call-up of reservists to deal with the situation that is still developing.
This is from 39 minutes ago. Oh, I think, is it the same? I've got questions. Yeah, it's the same.
October 7th, 2023 will go down in infamy in Israel.
Oh, that's the same. Let's try. Oh, it's live? Okay. I guess apparently. I wonder where this is from. Oh, I have some problems with connection apparently. Uh-oh. This is my computer. I don't know. It just broke apparently. I just taken another browser. Is that in Jerusalem? I would have thought it was in Tel Aviv. But anyway, maybe I'm just... I see some big buildings. It looks more like Tel Aviv or something, you know. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Well, there doesn't seem to be that big buildings in Jerusalem. Well, it looks like Tel Aviv at least to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I have skyscrapers as well. Oh. Didn't seem to be too much. Oh, we had the other browser, that's true.
Nordboers opdagelse.
Oh. Let's cross that down there. Bro. See if anything else works. Is it the same thing? No, I think it's the same. I seem to have some problems again with the browser apparently. Because I have too many tabs open. That's Yassari.
قررنا أن نضع حدا لكل ذلك بعون الله. هذا يوم الثورة الكبرى من أجل إنهاء الاحتلال الأخير ونظام الفصل العنصري الأخير في العالم. לבצע גיוס מילואים נרחב ולהשיב מלחמה שערה בעוצמה ובהיקף שהאויב לא הכיר. האויב ישלם מחיר שהוא לא ידע מותו. אני קורא בינתיים לכל אזרחי ישראל להישמע בקפדנות להנחיות הצבא, להנחיות פיקוד העורף. אנחנו במלחמה ואנחנו ננצח בה.
that's interesting. The EU has actually condemned this. That's interesting. I wonder in regards to the United Nations, but I guess they haven't really. They're usually against Israel as well, right? So that's interesting. The EU has condemned Hamas. That's interesting. I guess they need some good credit points in regards to people and all that. Although we should get out of EU, we can condemn Hamas without being in the Roman European Union of utter depravity. So the EU has condemned Hamas while other nations urge restraint on both sides. Well, again, who hit first, I wonder if you can actually make popcorn with butter. Yeah, this salt, there's a huge amount of difference in regards to flavor of salt. It makes a huge difference in regards to taste. Okay.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel is at war. The Islamist militant group Hamas's multi-pronged attack by land, sea, and air took Israel by surprise. Israel's National Rescue Service has said at least 40 people have been killed. Hundreds have been injured. A spokesman for Hamas called the military operation Al-Aqsa Flood, while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu...
So Al-Aqsa Flood, and the Israelis are calling it, what was like Iron Sword or something like that? Oh my.
Netanyahu has vowed a severe retaliation. Israel has dubbed its operation Swords of Iron.
Oh, Swords of Iron, okay. I guess, Swords of Iron, it doesn't sound so defensive. Shields of Iron or something like that might have been better or something, I guess, but maybe they want to give them a huge blow.
Of rockets fired from the Gaza Strip into southern Israel. Israel's Iron Dome defense system intercepted most of the rockets. But the incoming fire still hit several targets in Israel. This Hamas-released video footage shows what it says are its fighters infiltrating the heavily fortified border, both on the ground and by air. Israeli media has reported gun battles between the militants and Israeli forces. Hamas's military commander says the operation was in response to Israel's various offenses against Palestinians, including at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered a call-up of army reservists for a large-scale response to the attack.
Citizens of Israel, we are at war, not in an operation, but at war. This morning, Hamas launched a murderous surprise attack against the state of Israel and its citizens. The enemy will pay an unprecedented price. In the meantime, I call on the citizens of Israel to strictly adhere to the directives of the IDF and Home Front Command. We are at war, and we will win it.
Israel has begun its retaliation with airstrikes on the Gaza Strip.
For more, we're joined by Reuters journalist Emily Rose in Jerusalem. Emily, the Israeli Prime Minister earlier met with his security cabinet and made Israel's first goal to, quote, cleanse the area of militants. As far as you know, what's the situation on the ground at the moment, particularly those flashpoints where Palestinian militants broke through fences from Gaza to southern Israel earlier today?
Yes, as you mentioned, Hamas militants entered Israel over the Gaza-Israel border. They entered several communities, and as of now, it looks as though the Israeli military has managed to get several of the incidents in those communities under control, but several still remain under fire and in battle. I'm talking about actual clashes and conflict between Israeli security personnel and soldiers and Hamas militants on the ground. We also know that many residents are being told to stay in their homes, to not leave, and are hearing shots fired around them. So a lot of those battles still remain ongoing.
Netanyahu is threatening what he's describing as an unprecedented retaliation. What's the talk about what that response could look like?
We've already seen the Israeli military start to target several very specific targets in the Gaza Strip, Hamas posts, Hamas military points, and now it looks like the cabinet is going to debate and is debating, Israeli leaders are debating exactly to what scale the response will be and the full force of the retaliation will be. That will likely depend on the scale of what has actually happened here. There are lots of rumors and media posts, social media posts circulating that Israelis have been taken captive. That hasn't been confirmed by Israeli sources or Israeli officials. But if that is the case, that of course makes the response far more complicated. It would be far longer and certainly far more violent.
Predictably, perhaps, critical analysis of this conflict is happening in real time, with some already calling this a colossal intelligence failure on the part of Israel. What are you hearing on the ground?
Certainly one of the biggest questions Israeli media is pondering with right now, and analysts and experts across the country are asking, how did the Israeli military not see this coming? It's still too soon. The fog of war has not cleared to actually be able to interrogate and answer that question properly. Right now, it still looks like the military has its hands full trying to get control of what's happening in the south, but that will be a question that will need answering both from Israeli top military brass and from Israeli political leadership. I'm certain the people of Israel and people across the country and in fact all over the world will be asking who's to blame, how did this get by, and how did the Israeli military miss this critical piece of intelligence?
Journalist Emily Rose in Jerusalem, as ever. Many, many thanks, Emily. Earlier, DW's Middle East analyst, Shani Rosanes, gave us some perspective about what's so unusual about this morning's attacks.
Well, everything is unusual. I know as we are used to waves of attacks and from Gaza, of rockets towards Israel, and retaliation of Israelis' Air Force onto Gaza cities, and this time it feels very, very different. First of all, we've never seen such a coordinated attack coming from all directions. The artillery that we're seeing coming from Gaza towards Israel that started at 6 o'clock in the morning, that was just to give cover to the forces on the ground that managed to break through the border, the fences, and get into Israeli settlements and towns and cities in the southern part of Israel. We have seen over 15 Israeli towns under siege with civilians, kids, families under all being sheltered in their houses, trying to fight off militant Hamas, militants from the Hamas coming over street by street in Israeli towns. This is something we've never seen before. So the artillery that we're used to seeing, it's not the purpose this time, it's just the cover. Israelis are shocked, they're in complete disarray. Still whole towns, whole regions of the southern part of Israel is disconnected from internet lines, from cellular lines. It's quite clear that this will be a game changer in the dynamics between Israel and Palestine, with Hamas and Israelis. We're not going to see a regular retaliation as we've seen so far, because this attack is something different.
It's interesting. What you're describing is something that sounds like a coordinated military attack. I understand you're keeping up to date with the latest and speaking with people in Israel. What kind of things are you hearing?
Well, of course, complete shock, a lot of anger, frustration. There's many families, people that just are sheltering since 6 o'clock in the morning. Those who are lucky enough to have a safe shelter room in their houses are just asked to remain there, quiet and silent. They hear militants outside their houses. They see them through little peek holes outside on the streets next to their houses. And the military, the security forces, the police, they cannot reach all those places all at once. It's been taking hours and hours. Israelis are surprised to see how hard it is for the mighty Israeli military forces to fight back this